take a look. The first round of mail-in ballots have come in for the Erie County Executive, and as expected, Tyler Titus has a big lead. He wins just about 77% of the first round, 15,000 mail-in ballots, just over that coming in. He wins 11,116 of them. Brenton Davis picks up 3,491 of those votes. So right now, Titus ahead 76% to 24%, although, as we expected, a large portion of those mail-in votes skewing towards the Democrat. In the sheriff's race, this is where the numbers are a little bit different. You see Chris Campanelli winning 84% of those 15,000 plus votes over Republican Brian Shank. He wins 12,470. Shank picking up just a tad under 2,500. So right there, the race, 84 to 16% in favor of the Democrat. Those are the two big races that we've been looking at here through the last couple of hours. As we go to Crawford County, no results yet in Crawford County, but those are the two big races. We have full results on our page right now, erienewsnow.com, and like we expect, these results are going to come in fast and furious. But as we come back to the alert desk here, we're joined by Lisa Adams. She's covering Tyler Titus tonight in the cold, in the snow.
A little bit of everything.
Nothing can be easy on election night, apparently. Lisa, you talked with Tyler. He seemed optimistic. He seemed like he was confident tonight. When you see those numbers, is he more confident, less confident? What's your take on the numbers early here for Tyler?
It's hard to say. Each campaign is kind of putting out little bits of information indicating that they feel confident, and they have some internal polling that shows positive things. I will say the numbers that you just showed there, I mean, that's 15,000 mail-in ballots. We do know that includes independents in there, other parties, but primarily it was about 4-1 Democrats to Republicans in those mail-ins. Mm-hmm. So for Titus, that lead is not 4-1 there. You can see it's more like 3-1. So I think Titus has to come out of the city of Erie really strong because that's where the Democrats are. But yesterday, Doug Smith, clerk of elections, said to me, people shouldn't make too much of the first numbers that come out, especially since there are all these mail-in ballots and they're more heavily Democratic. So it's really too soon to interpret that. But the second thing is you just don't know if every Democrat votes for Titus, if every Republican votes for Davis. Right. So I will say Titus was very upbeat. The campaign had a busy day. They traveled around to 5 at least different polling places, and I think fit some door knocking in there in between as well. So certainly not taking anything for granted, working right up until the very end. Titus said that sometimes, I notice sometimes people make a beeline that, if candidates are standing there with their signs or want to greet them, sometimes they don't want to interact with them. They just want to go right on in and vote. Others say hello, or they show signs of encouragement to the candidate. And then sometimes Tyler said that candidates might say, I still am not sure who I'm voting for. Tell me why I should vote for you. So that made it worthwhile to the Titus campaign, I guess, to be out there. Interestingly, Titus wasn't the only one working the polls. About 60 people from his campaign were moving around to polling places. Of course, they're not allowed to go inside. They have to stay 10 feet away, at least, from the entrance to the polling place. But certainly they thought it was worth their time, even in the inclement weather, to be out there greeting some people, making a last pitch for why it should be them.
You and I talked with County Executive Kathy Dahlkemper on Saturday in a live interview in our 6 o'clock newscast, and she had talked about she was hoping we'd have many people get out and vote, always want a high turnout, but she wasn't sure. It's coming off of a pandemic, the turmoil that caused the 2020 election to be so explosive. And we've heard from different polling places and our reporters that the turnout, particularly in the suburbs and in the city, has not been as high as anticipated. We heard upwards, or downwards, I should say, of 21%, 31% in Mill Creek Township. In the city of Erie, Erie High School, just 200 people coming out to vote. And obviously we only get about 30% of the county to vote as it is, but is that concerning for Tyler, who really, like you said, needs to win that city and needs to win it big?
I did talk to Doug Smith, clerk of elections, probably around 5 or 6 o'clock. He did send some information over to me, but it was really pretty early. So even though those reports are such that turnout wasn't as high in the city as sometimes, and it was higher in some places in the county, you could see from the early numbers that he sent me, it's very patchy. You know, there might be one precinct in the city that had excellent turnout. There might be another one not so much. So I don't know when it's all said and done here what the turnout is going to be. Doug was predicting yesterday somewhere between 30 and 35%. Some folks out and about today said they thought that might be high. I will say, you know, at the polling places I visited there at the end of the night, I was at Asbury Methodist Church, and they said it was normal. You know, for them, they had some sections of the day where they had lines, a whole lot of people there. Other parts of the day, you know, trickling in 1, 2, 3, 4 people at a time. But they said, you know, looking stats-wise at how many voters came through there, it was turning out to be sort of normal, and they knew they did not have the mail-in vote added in there as well. So similar when I voted at my polling place, I found that I was 144 out of about 824 people, and that was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:45. But there were 115 mail-in ballots from my precinct, so add it all together, and you know, it's probably about normal.
When you look at the way this election and campaign was run, people calling it, you said I think on air, the $1 million election, because there was so much put into the campaign ads. Combined, I think both candidates put about $1 million into video advertising. There was a really strong push from both of these candidates early on, and a large, I think, portion of that was due to mail-in ballots. Is this an election unlike you've ever seen in the years that you've spent covering, not necessarily because of the pandemic and whatnot, but because it seems like now we're starting to trend in a different direction where campaigning really starts at the end of the summer?
Campaigning does start earlier and earlier, but obviously the candidates have to spend their money wisely so they can save it for that last push. And certainly the fact that Brenton Davis got about $40,000 near the end from an Erie-based PAC, that helped him be able to run additional ads, maybe respond to the question about his military record, have the voices of some other people who served say, hey, one war, you know, same war we all fought. So, you know, I think the advertising has been really effective in getting the messaging out. I've seen uglier races where the ads are name-calling, more schoolyard taunt kind of things. This seemed to be issues that were raised. I mean, if a candidate had a bankruptcy in their past, it's a valid thing. If somebody, you know, has changed their tune on community college, or did they get a vaccine or not, you know, those are questions that are worthy of being raised. And, you know, obviously there were some questions about whether the military record of Brent Davis was being accurately reflected or not. So that's for the voters to decide. But I think even though some of the ads might be called attack ads, I think they were certainly effective, and, you know, they were keeping pace with what the conversation was of the campaign.
A couple of questions left. I think the main one that the experts and I were wondering from the Titus camp is how important or how confident they were the young voter could come out. We know in Erie County generally young votes are hard to come by. It's hard to drive up that younger turnout, and I think that was might be able to attest to this. I think that was part of hopefully Titus's campaign strategy, was to be able to get that younger voter out, both candidates in their 30s. Does he feel confident that he was able to draw enough upon the youth in Erie County to get some more of those votes?
Well, we didn't talk about that specifically, but I can say just watching Erie Dems since Jim Wirtz has been party chair and calling them Erie Dems, you know, trying to say this is not your father's party. But I think a lot of effort has been made on the part of the Democratic Party to engage younger people of color, you know, to have some coalitions within the party. And so that's an effort that's been going on for a while to get younger candidates out there for opportunities to serve. Jasmine Flores, another example of that. You know, there's some younger candidates for city school board. So I think there are younger voters energized. Whether it's enough of them that really register, know where their polling place is, and turn out to vote or not? That's a good question, because there are some older folks who are really dedicated and they haven't missed an election in their entire lives. So it would be great to see younger voters be that engaged and turn out so their voices are heard. But time will tell.
And lastly, you're going to be, I believe, at Titus's party tonight. Where is that again?
It's at Pier 6, in the summer, a popular spot there across from the Marriott. It was a rooftop bar in the summer. I'm sure tonight, no, I doubt if there will be too many people out on the outside rooftop part of it. But that's where the returns watching party will be for Titus. And, we'll be talking to Tyler about how the campaign went, about the numbers as they come in. Every county executive's race, since I can remember, they've been close, and everybody seems to say this is going to be another close one.
For drama's sake, we hope so. For your sake, we hope it's called tonight.
Yeah.
But obviously some positive, encouraging news from Doug Smith that the votes are coming in and being tallied quicker than expected. Lisa, thanks. Stay warm, my goodness.
Yeah, I think I get to be indoors for the rest of the night.
I feel
now.
bad for you and Ethan in interviewing them both in the freezing cold. But all right, we'll see you in just a bit.
All right.
Let's go ahead now, before we go on to Ethan Kibbe and bring in John Last. He's covering the Erie County Sheriff's race, which right now is not in favor of Brian Shank, which is his cover tonight. However, Shank hoping for some success down the stretch. Let's hear from John Last.
This is John Last. I'm at the Nostrovia Brewing Company in Harbor Creek. I was out here for some live reports at 5 and 6 talking about Republican Brian Shank's campaign for Erie County Sheriff. Now the polls are closed. We are back. We're inside, and we have the candidate here, Brian Shank. And Brian, we'll just start off by asking how you think the campaign's gone now that the polls are closed.
It's the magic thing. When the polls close, we go, take a breath. Now the folks down at the courthouse are scrambling. I've been down there during election night. It's like controlled chaos. Getting all the hard drives in. So that's what we're waiting for now. Is the judges to close them all up, seal them. We physically got to drive those hard drives down to the courthouse. They download them, and then that's when we start to see the results. The city reports first because they're a 5-minute drive, not a 15-minute drive. So we'll see the city results quick, and the other ones will kind of come in there. So we're expecting a good win. And the weather, we're not scared. This is Erie. We get cold weather, we get snow, but everybody went out and voted. It was a good time today.
You think that you've done all that you could as far as everything you wanted to do when the campaign started? Now that it's over, you're satisfied?
Well, we wanted to get a blimp, but of course that's not cost effective. We wanted to get skywriters. It's not cost effective. So, we kept it simple. Grassroots, knocking on doors, mailers, getting out. I had the Shank vehicle with the big Shank trailer on the back. I rode that so much around Erie County. I had 3 sets of tires off of it. Got a lot of miles on it.
Now, do you expect the results to be in early enough that there would be a winner declared tonight?
That's a tough one. The fact that we can't factor is the mailers. Because the way the rules are, they can't start actually counting until 7 o'clock. So we've got a good team down there. We've had a mail-in ballot before. We've gone through a cycle. We kind of worked out all the bugs. They've got a better system, better rack, more organization. So I know the volunteers and the big staff down there are working hard.
I remember after the last election, the presidential election, you were at a rally in Perry Square, and you sort of gave a speech about Erie County Republicans sort of going all in, filling those slots for election. Don't let any Democrat sort of get an easy win. And then you end up running for sheriff. Is this something that you thought you would be doing all along? Or did you sort of listen to your own words and say, I'm going to run for this position?
Well, I didn't wake up and go, you know what, I'm going to be a sheriff today. It's got to be a plan. It's got to be tactics, strategies. And then as a councilman, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about government, and I understand a lot of it. Do I have a lot to learn? You betcha. But being a former, Army MP, city cop, retired state corrections officer, I saw when John retired, I'm like, I've got the qualifications. So I got a group together, we studied it, we looked at it, and they said, this is very doable. So here we go.
Well, enjoy the night tonight. A lot of supporters here already. and we'll be watching the results come in as you are.
Oh, absolutely.
And
It's
we'll be talking to you later on.
Thanks.
All right. So we will be live here again from Nostrovia's Brewing Company in Harper Creek Township, and we hope to have some results soon.
All right, thank you, John. Last, as we continue along through our election coverage, we just spoke with Lisa Adams, who was talking and covering Tyler Titus, and now we move to the other side of the coin here as we look at these results right now coming in. I just want to make sure that they're up to date. They are. These are the first batch of results coming in for the county executive race. Right now, Tyler Titus, a 3-1, in essence, lead on Brenton Davis, although those numbers for Titus not as adequate as you'd like them to be, 11,000 plus to just under 3,500 as we bring in Ethan Kibbe. He is covering the flip side of the coin, Brenton Davis, tonight. Ethan, you and I were talking during that Facebook Live video. When the ballots go out 4-1 Democrat, they come back and they're opened at 3-1 Democrat. If you're Brenton Davis, you might be sitting and smiling at this point.
Yeah, put those numbers back up if you would. Let's
Sure.
talk about these for
We'll
a second.
double
Oh, look
box
at that. Double box. That's above and
We
beyond.
have some creativity here.
It really is. So let's talk about these for a second because, as we mentioned, ballots went out and also came back 3-1, or 4-1 rather, roughly Democratic. And so if you're Tyler Titus, you're looking to at least hold serve, right? You want to come back 4-1. But what you see there is 3-1. Now, that doesn't sound horribly far off, but think about voter turnout in this election. We've seen numbers in the city that look nothing short of abysmal. That's your Democratic stronghold. Numbers look marginally better as you move further out, and things get progressively more red as you do. It sounds crazy to say as you look at the screen and see 24% for Davis, but I think those numbers bode well for him. I think. You never want to say anything definitively.
Sure.
We've both done that before, fortunately not on air, and
Right.
only found out that we were wrong.
Right.
And so, be it sports or elections or whatever, right? You're so convinced of something, but you have to, off the top here, look at those numbers and think to yourself, this bodes well for the Davis campaign.
Now, when you talked to Brenton earlier in the day, and you've covered him for the last few months as he's been...
I mean, I've known him for years now, being here and covering stories. Yeah.
Right, and exactly. And when you came and talked to him coming into the day, how confident, can you gauge his confidence meter coming in?
Yeah, I mean, confident. Their team feels good, and we've heard from members of their crew that felt good going into today. That said, and this is a wonderful quote, I talked with his campaign manager earlier in the day, and I said, how's your team feeling? And he said, the only feeling I've ever trusted is heartbreak. And that's so true.
Sure.
You can feel any number of ways, but feelings don't matter, numbers do. And so, although I think that there's a good reason for confidence with that crew, and certainly numbers right now seem to suggest that, they're not counting their chickens until they're hatched.
Now, we know that in the rural areas it's going to be big red. We know in the inner city it's going to be big blue. The suburbs is where you bake your cake in the county executive race. Did you see through the campaign Davis put a big presence on the Mill Creek townships, the Fairviews,
Yeah,
the Summit
I did.
townships?
Davis and Titus. Kudos to both of them, in that they were both all over Erie County. You have to give them credit for that. They did a phenomenal job of going everywhere. And so hats off to them on that, because they knew off-year election, only one thing matters, turnout. That's it. Turnout, 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 if you want to say three things matter.
Right.
That's it. And they did a really good job of trying to drum up votes. Isaac, what I'm curious about here, and we'll never know this for sure, but it's those moderates. I wonder if you'll see moderate Republicans vote for Titus and some moderate Democrats who go for Davis, because you know where the political ends of the spectrum are going to go, and that's where these candidates are. What about this swath in the middle that feels unrepresented? And right now, for Titus, he's got to pull them their way.
Curious to hear exactly what Brenton's pitch was for the younger population. I think for Titus, we can all agree that younger demographic was key. That's what he pitched towards in a lot of his campaign. Was Brenton, in your mind, at all interested in trying to draw swaths of young voters to the polls?
Absolutely.
Because that's something we don't see in Erie County.
Right. Listen, if it's somebody who supports your cause, you don't care if they're 18 or if they're 98.
Sure.
Get to the polls. And Davis is not an old man by any means.
No.
He's in his 30s.
Right.
And so, although I would contend that Davis looks a little older than Dr. Titus, but these, regardless of who wins, we're going to have our youngest county executive ever.
Yeah.
And so the young vote does matter to both of these people, although obviously, if you're Davis, your stronghold is older conservatives. But you've got to have those younger voters, because if you don't have them, and even if they're Republicans, they go to Titus, that's enough to put this thing back up for grabs.
What are we missing here as we move through the night? We've got about 15 minutes till the 9 o'clock hour. More results are going to drop, and we assume soon. If you're Davis as you move through the night, what are you looking for? Are you looking, obviously you're going to get good turnout in the rural areas. At this point, you see these results and you see the early mail-ins. Is holding serve and splitting the suburbs, you think, good enough for Davis to win tonight?
I do, although watch me eat those words. But I think right now, yes, because he did better than expected on the mail-ins. And so if you do reasonably well in Mill Creek, Fairview, Harbor Creek tends to go much further red. You can pick up votes there, and then once you get out of the suburbs, if you want to call them that, obviously, that's red all across the board. All that matters is turnout. So if you're Davis, the second you can get some concrete turnout numbers, if those look really good outside of the city, you're just sitting back and relaxing and enjoying the evening. If they don't, then it's did we get enough to overcome this gap? Even though we know we're gonna win, Green Township and Washington Township. You know you're gonna win them. The question is, did enough people turn out to overcome that mail-in deficit?
Regardless of who wins tonight, do you think it's possible the race gets called tonight?
Yeah, I think it's certainly possible. Forgive me if I'm wrong on this. I think that if the race is called tonight, it's because Davis won. I would be very surprised. If Titus wins right now, judging again by the mail-in ballots, let's pull those up. If Titus wins right now, my gut is that that's going to be a close race. What do I know? Watch Dr. Titus sweep across the board here. But my gut tells me that if Titus wins, it's close, and if Davis wins, and it could also be close, but if we have a winner tonight, I think it's going to be Davis and not Titus, if one is declared tonight. The longer this goes, the more indecision and the more fun we get to have.
Indeed, and we know we had fun 365 days ago with the miles and years and eons long race that was Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. And again, we don't have any bias towards any one of the candidates.
No.
We're just showing you what we know. And again, you look at those numbers, we do want to reiterate, we can't say this enough, these numbers do skew for Tyler Titus, but that was expected. It's the opposite, the precise reverse of what we saw in 2020. In 2020, Donald Trump, at the end of Tuesday night, had a 700,000 vote lead in
because we weren't counting mail-ins.
Whereas it's the opposite
right.
tonight.
And so, and we talked about that we saw the red wave, right? The red mirage, it ended up being called last year. This year, you may well see the exact opposite because we canvassed those mail-in ballots. We still can't open them early in Pennsylvania.
Right.
That is mind-blowing. That's a discussion for another day. But because we could get 15,000 of them through.
Sure.
So we might have a situation tonight, and I'm sure you've talked about this, where it all comes down to those 5,000 unopened mail-in ballots sitting at the county courthouse to determine this whole thing. It's going to be a wild ride.
Not as surprising as you would think. That's a very likely possibility. And as Lisa Adams said when she sat with me here, every county executive race, minus a few, have been closed.
Yeah.
So you never know. And again,
it's fun.
We're probably in for a long night.
We're used to it. We'll just camp out here under the alert desk. I've got a pillow and a blanket in my car.
There's a sleeping bag. Maybe we can string a hammock over from this side of the TV.
Well, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Slumber party, blanket fort.
Yeah, we'll turn the lights off and have a 3-hour nap before we're back on at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Hey, go get him tonight.
Thank you,
are
sir.
Covering where's Davis's.
He is up on that Summit Plaza up on Peach Street. So yeah, time for me to start rolling up there. He's going to roll in around 9 and. I'll be there too. So Erie News Now at 10. Make sure to tune in. We'll be live with Brenton Davis then. And at 11 o'clock, of course, maybe we'll know something by then.
Who knows?
I'm not sure you and I have ever known anything.
No, not much. You more than me, though, because at least you get somewhat of the political end.
I just say it in a deep voice and everybody believes it.
I ask the questions, you give the good answers. So as long as I can ask a decent question, I hold serve. We're talking about holding serve. We got to make an analogy to that.
Yes.
Anyway, all right, have fun at the camp. We'll see you a little bit later. That's Ethan Kibbe joining us here as we take one more look at those results. Still lots and lots and lots of time left for votes to come in. Again, the only batch of votes we've received was a half hour ago, 8:17 p.m. Tyler Titus winning about 11,000 of those 15,000 votes that came in here when we originally got the first round of ballots. Jeff, you can go ahead and come join me again. I'm sorry, I've left you out to dry here as we take a look. Let's get to some other races as well, particularly in the state races, because there are some brand new results coming in as well in the state races. And we were talking to our our new Harrisburg reporter a little bit earlier in the night, and he was talking about how these state races are also important, even though they may not necessarily be as excited for other ones, for other local races as well. So let's go ahead and get to those races here as we take a look. We'll start in PA Supreme Court Justice, 7% in. It's Mariah McLaughlin, the Democrat, up 82 to 18% on Kevin Brobson, roughly 210,000 votes in that race. Also in the Pennsylvania Superior Court Judge, Tamika Lane, Megan Sullivan is trailing Tamika, 165,000 votes to 46,000. And in Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court Judge, you see a split race there. 42% for Lori Dumas, the Democrat, 39% for David Spurgeon, Stacey Wallace, and Drew Compton, the incumbent Republican, at 9% right now. As we look at some other races as well, we'll get to those in just a second. But again, just like we had talked about, every single race is going to skew Democrat early, naturally, because of the mail-in ballots and the fact that they tend to skew Democrat in any single area when it comes to elections locally and across the state of Pennsylvania. Jeff Bloodworth back in joining me here as we try to break down some of these numbers. It's not easy, Jeff, when you have all these numbers flying at you. You know, we talked for about an hour before we got the results, and now we're expecting a lot more as the day goes on. You know, I think when you look at these races and you look at Erie County specifically, Ethan was just talking about it, how important the suburbs were for both candidates. And it's very interesting, too, the level of trust that Tyler Titus had in the city of Erie and Brenton Davis had in the rural part of the county, that they would vote that way. But as you were talking about, boots on the ground was the key, and both Ethan and Lisa said that was both candidates' main pitch.
Yeah, I mean, look, suburban voters vote. You know, educated. They're not. It's not a young demographic that's out there. So that's where the votes are. And this is, you know, the swing district, especially. I'm sure both campaigns understood, especially the Titus campaign understood that the turnout in the city was not going to be what it was going to be in a presidential race. So you go to where the turnout is likely to be higher, and that's where a Democratic vote can be found, and that's in the suburbs.
All right, so as you look at these early numbers here, we kind of touched on them just a tad bit, and you see 74-26 for Tyler Titus. I'll pull this up so we can all see it here. What do you make of these numbers early on? I mean, we said, you know, the mail-in ballots came out 4-1 Democrat, roughly coming in now at 3-1 with Titus against Davis. If you're either candidate, I mean, who would you rather be right now?
Oh, Brenton Davis.
Kathy Dahlkemper in 2017 won with 30,000 votes, and only barely, but she won with a little over 30,000 votes. And if we see where Tyler is, that's 11,000 with the first mail-in. We have 5,000 outstanding mail-ins. 75% of that. Let's imagine that's what Tyler draws from it. That puts Tyler about at 15,000. He needs another 15,000 votes to equal what Kathy Dahlkemper got in 17. And with a paltry turnout in the city, those numbers don't look good. Campanelli, the Democrat running for sheriff, is running 8 points ahead of Tyler. And I mean, if Titus was going to win, he needed to have Campanelli numbers. And it tells me that the Campanelli-Schenck race is going to be close. Campanelli might have an edge there, but this isn't good news if you're the Titus campaign.
I also want to mention the reporting number in the top right-hand corner. That's not accurate. It will always show reporting 100%, but keep an eye, if you're keeping an eye on those numbers, keep the ones down with the blue and red boxes with the name and the face recognition, because that's where we're at right now. I also want to give you an update, too, on the Mill Creek Township Supervisor race. I would love to give an update on every single race, every single moment, but right now I'm sitting in front of about 70 results, so I will give as many as I can. This is a big race, too, in Mill Creek Township. Kim Clear, a member of Erie County Council, now running for the supervisor race. She currently is ahead of Kirk McCaskill, and you can see about 3,800 votes have been reported there, 79 to 21 in favor of the Democrat with those early vote returns. So you're really seeing a fluctuation, Jeff, of the numbers. Titus with 74, Clear with 79, 84% there for Campanelli. Would you argue that the numbers that Titus was hoping to have early on were the same numbers that most Democrats in Erie County were also looking to have, especially whether it's supervisor or sheriff's race? Or is it different?
It's probably, I mean, it's different depending on kind of where you're running. I mean, the Mill Creek Township Supervisor, that's a more Republican district, and so I imagine if I'm Kim Clear, I probably feel pretty good about that number if those are mail-in ballots, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So for a more Republican district than the city of Erie, that looks to be, although the raw numbers are lower than they are in the county executive race, that looks pretty positive. But it depends on kind of what your district is. But I would imagine if you're the Titus campaign, you're kind of gauging yourself, with Campanelli, right? I mean, they're going after the same voters, and you're looking at the mail-in votes, and you wanted to be ahead of Campanelli, right? I mean, you wanted to even do better than him. And 8 points, and Kathy Dahlkemper only barely squeaked by, what I think, a 300 vote victory in 17. And so to be 8 points behind, I think everybody, at best, you would say if you were running the Titus campaign, is it's going to be a close race. And to be 8 points behind Campanelli's total in what was deemed to be a close race is not a good sign.
Is there an importance, Jeff, nowadays in Democrats running on different races but the same ticket campaigning together? I mean, you see in the national race, let's say, for example, Donald Trump, when he came to Pennsylvania, you had Mike Kelly. Wasn't necessarily an election year for him, but you have other individuals on your side that are helping you try to campaign to victory. Is that important locally for other candidates, whether it's Brian Schenck with Brenton Davis or Chris Campanelli with Tyler Titus? I mean, is that important too, or is it not as necessary in the local election?
I think it's more necessary in local elections, right? And then in sort of federal elections, it used to be endorsements mattered. What we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years is endorsements mattering less and less. At the local level, however, I mean, that's where people still have trust and they know and they have contact with particular candidates. And so getting a known quantity to endorse you at the local level is a place where endorsements can still matter. And especially for Democratic Party's always been more diverse and has always been given more to disunity. And I think for Democrats to run as a unified ticket is always more important for Democrats than it is Republicans. To because you have a member of the Democratic Party. If you're an African American running for office and you have kind of a member of the white business community who might come and campaign for you, I mean, that's the sort of thing that can signal to a different part of the party that, this is somebody I like, you can like them too. I think it's more important for Democrats to have members, to campaign together to signal to its diverse coalition that this is somebody that they are giving the thumbs up to.
I'm curious, off of that, over the years that you've been in politics, if you've seen in Erie County, Warren County, Crawford County, the dynamic of who votes for who change. There seems to be a perception that only a specific group of people vote for Democrats and only a specific group of people vote for Republicans, and now we're so torn apart, if you will, there really aren't that many swing voters. But have you seen that change at all throughout the years? I mean, did it used to be, some people voted differently. There were more people down the middle, and now it's broken apart. I mean, what do you take? What's your take on the last, even let's say, 15, 20 years, and how the voting perspective has changed as to who votes for who?
Well, I mean, Erie's reflecting national trends is that there are fewer and fewer people who split their tickets, meaning voting for the Republican at the presidential level and a Democrat at the local level. Western Pennsylvania, over the last 15 to 30 years, used to be a hardcore Democratic area, has been trending to the right. But even when it was trending to the right, you would have people who would split their tickets. And you just don't have that phenomenon nearly as much anymore.
Is there a reason? Is it just the polarity of things that's the case?
Yeah, it is. It's partisan media. The D and the R next to your name matters so much more than the campaign that you run, that the person that you are. I mean, people are so locked into their R and D identities that you could hear the worst news about a particular candidate. I mean, we saw in the outgoing governor of Virginia had these photographs of him in blackface. Once upon a time, that would have been disqualifying. Democrats stuck by him. I mean, we've seen this at the national level. I mean, 2016, we saw it with former President Trump and the Access Hollywood tape. Republicans stuck with him. And again, I'm not saying those are exactly the same things, but people are less likely to move away from a candidate based upon issues and events than they were in the past.
Mm-hmm. I want to give some updates really quickly. I got an email just a couple of minutes ago from our digital lead, Doug Rogers. He has an update from Doug Smith, who has given us a couple of updates on ballots, as well as the townships that he has received ballots from. So, as reported just 11 minutes ago from Doug Smith, the report of ballots received by the voting department, these are the ballots which have their envelope barcodes read, not ballots scanned. We will likely complete pre-canvassing Mill Creek this evening, leaving alphabetic townships. So here are the townships that they've received the ballots from. Northeast District 1, Northeast District 2, Springfield, Summit Township District 1 and 2, Union, Venango, Washington Township, that's Edinburgh, Waterford Township, 1st and 2nd District, and Wayne Township. Those are the ones that have already turned in their ballots, partially because they're closest to the Erie County Board of Elections in terms of proximity. We also have information as to how many mail-in ballots were received as of 6 p.m. 19,404 is the number of mail-in ballots that were received as of 6 p.m. So if I do quick math here, Jeff's going to pull out his handy-dandy phone calculator. So let's see, 11,000 for Titus, 3,400 for Davis. Quick math, that leaves about 5,000 maybe? Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
5,000 ballots, like we said, that were expected to be counted. And obviously, there are currently 15,300 already canvassed and in results. I just want to make sure that I have the numbers here on my email correct. So many numbers to go through here, so many things to look at as we move through election night. Okay, so it looks like we're all up to date on numbers here and all safe with that. So needing to get the most up-to-date information as we can, in essence, because these races still pretty critical as we move forward throughout the night. Let's check Facebook, see if there's any new content on Facebook. Again, we have a lot of our crews that are just going back out to the locations that they were at earlier, including Ethan Kibbe and Lisa Adams, who were covering the county executive race, and Kara Coleman and John Lass, who were covering the sheriff's race. Does not look like we have any Facebook Lives as of now. I want to make sure I didn't miss any while we were taking a slight break here. So much breaking news tonight. Also, while we're at it, just out of curiosity, Jeff, I'd like to see how the Virginia gubernatorial race is.
Yeah, I was a little surprised in that the turnout in Virginia is apparently quite strong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so historically, I mean, that favors Democrats. And so if you're the McAuliffe campaign, the strong turnout is boding well. I was also looking at McAuliffe. You know, the returns aren't all in, but you're looking at sort of the northern Virginia suburbs. His numbers are down compared to his campaign or past campaigns of other Democrats who won the governorship. If he's going to win, it's going to be very close.
Yeah, here's the numbers so far. Youngkin with the lead, but a lot of Republican counties have been counted, it looks like, in Virginia, 55-44. So that's a race that doesn't pertain locally, but it's also important because so many of these states are going to be battleground areas, not necessarily Virginia for the presidential election, but for the midterms, right?
Yeah.
And we can kind of relate back to what we were talking about with them and with Pennsylvania is these races are important, not that they're going to officially decide who gets elected governor, for example, in Pennsylvania next year, but in terms of how the landscape of whether a state goes blue or red could happen in the next couple of years.
Virginia, I mean, this is, for people watching, you may not understand, but it's going to have this outsized significance. If the Republican wins Virginia, and again, there's only been one time since World War II that the party that held the White House also held the governor's race, which is always a year after the presidential election.
Sure.
So generally, history would say the Republican is going to win. But if the Republican is going to win, if the Republican wins the Virginia race, it is going to drive retirements in Congress from Democrats. It's going to scare Democrats away from running for office. It is going to have a cascading effect far beyond what it actually should. But this Virginia governor's race, all Democratic and Republican eyes nationally are on that race. I mean, if you want to get a sense of how Republicans and Democrats are going to think about the midterms in November, it's the Virginia race. And it looks right now that it's going to be relatively close. I don't think Youngkin's going to run away with this. And my sense is that the Republican has won the better race. But I'm a little surprised by how good the turnout is in Virginia. I mean, there's a sense, I think, nationally, when you look at Biden's poll numbers, they're down. You look at the right track, wrong track polling numbers. That is not looking good if you are a Democrat. But the turnout in Virginia was quite strong. And so it seems like there's some energy in what is a Democratic state.
Right. Very interesting. And again, that's not a race proponent to hear, but still an important race. And it brings up another question that I have, and I find this extremely interesting. Hold on, Doug Rogers is here giving me some new updates. Yes, Doug.
Erie County results is coming in, so they
all right.
should show up soon for you.
Stand by. We're about to get a new round of Erie County results, so I guess we'll stick with it here, and as they come in, we'll give them to you really quickly, Jeff. I'm curious because we talk about how the balance of power could shift based on how results are locally, but it seems like the power of incumbency is the case on a national level, but not really the case on a local level. Why is that?
Look, you just need just a fewer votes to tip in one way or the other. I mean, and it's just the power of going door to door. I mean, I learned that in college when I would, in watching local elections. That's where I kind of cut my teeth in local politics. Is you could have a Republican running in a Democratic district or the other way around, and if they just had more energy and just a few more committed volunteers, you can really kind of move the numbers. And so incumbency matters, and it matters in local races as well. But it matters less in local races because a really committed candidate who has a cadre of volunteers. I mean, I think that was the Titus kind of theory of the case because, and again, Brenton Davis worked hard as well, but the Titus campaign was well run. I mean, it was a professionally run operation with lots of volunteers.
Okay, here we go. New round of poll numbers are in. Stand by. Here are the numbers that we have gotten right now. We start with the Erie County executive race, new numbers coming in, and you can see the numbers have really not shifted much in terms of the percentages. Tyler Titus now with 11,893 votes, so he picks up about 750 with this new round of votes coming in. Brenton Davis now up to 4,191, and so he also picks up about 750. So both candidates in this new round of data split. They hold serve. So Tyler Titus still ahead, 74 to 26%. I wonder if some of those votes are mail-in ballots. Now that we've gotten past the first round of canvassing, some of these votes can be election day votes. So you're going to start really seeing the election day votes coming in for these two. So nothing really changes. They both pick up about 750, and the lead for Titus is still about 3-1. Here's the new numbers for the Erie County Sheriff's race. Brian Shank has actually picked up a couple of percentage points. It was 84 to 16 Campanelli a couple of minutes ago. We now have, at the moment, Campanelli up 82% to 18%. He has 13,462 votes. Brian Shank looks like picked up just under 1,000 with that new poll round here. So I'm going to get a piece of paper here so I've got it for the sheriff's race so I can get both candidates and their numbers here. So a little better for Brian Schenck here, and on the Erie County Sheriff's race, Brenton Davis doesn't pick up any percentage points, but they both pick up in terms of the sheriff's race here. Let's go to the Erie County Clerk of Records. New numbers in from that as well. Aubrey Haggerty Haynes has the lead on Edward DiMatteo. DiMatteo, though, has picked up some traction. He's now at 23%. It's about an 82 to 18% race a couple of minutes ago. 12,400 to 3,600, just over that for DiMatteo. Here's another big one for Erie County Council. Look at how close this race is. You look at the percentage points in so far. Liz Allen, the Democrat, in front of the other candidates in a battle for Erie County Council. Chuck Nelson, Maurice Motrib. You can see how close that race is. About a 500 vote lead for Liz Allen. Greg Brown, the Republican, 7%, a little bit further down the aisle. While we're getting some new data, I'm just going to go ahead and pull up all the new data that we have for the races, even if they're township races here, because I think it's important to show all of them as they come in. For those of you in the Harbor Creek area, Lawrence Park, here's an update for you. Lawrence Park Township Commissioner, you see right now Tammy Benovic, the Democrat, holding at 50%. She has about a 150 vote lead on Joseph Golden. Barry Roadmaker at 22%. Mill Creek Township Supervisor race is also in with new numbers. 75% Kim Clear, 25% Kirk McCaslin. Doug Rogers is paging me. Yes, Doug.
Some of the results you may not see a huge difference because they've only included 1,536, I believe, election day ballots, which isn't a lot. So it's not compared to that.
So they are election day ballots. Okay, so Doug Rogers, who is our aficionado with these numbers behind the scenes, he's telling me that the 1,500 ballots in the county executive race were all election day ballots, which is interesting. And it actually, early on, it's good news for Titus.
Yeah.
As he splits those 1,500 votes with Davis, we're not sure where they came in from. But again, the suburban to rural area seemed to favor Davis in the early precincts, and now Titus has, at least for a few votes, maintained his 74-26% vote lead. Let's go back to some more of the races. We showed you the Mill Creek Township Supervisor race. Kim Clear right now holding at 3-1 on Kirk McCaslin. 3,200 votes to 1,071. That's new data that just came in today. Mill Creek Township Auditor also coming in fairly recently. John Groh at 64%, the Democrat, ahead of Sue Weber, the Republican, by about 1,200 votes. In the battle for the Erie City School Director, take a look at where the votes stand right now. You can see Jay Brenneman, the Democrat, with 24% of the vote, 4,500, just over that. Lorton Gillespie right behind at 3,900. It goes down from there. There is a independent, if you will, running on neither the Democrat nor Republican ticket, but is listed as a B here for both. The independents will be listed as purple. Daria Devlin at 19% with 3,500 votes. Aaron Lundberg, the Republican, with just over 1,100. Any other new results we have in that I can see? We have a couple for school directors. Iroquois School Director in the Iroquois School District. A lot of independents running here. Very close race. A 2-vote lead for Rita Niklowski on Craig Noyes. You see the results there. Also in the Mill Creek School Director race, James Philbick, the independent, ahead of Gary Winchell, but not by much. Just about 93 votes, 91 votes it looks like there. James Philbick in the advantage right there for the Mill Creek School Director. So, as we go back to the county executive race there, Jeff, not a ton of new data to come in, but really not much moving the needle in terms of the county executive race. And we expect more vote to come in consistently, but it might be this 1,500 to 2,000 patches of votes as the night goes on.
Yeah. Depending on where those votes came from, it could be very good news for Dr. Titus.
And I do want to mention here that I once again want to reiterate the townships that have already received, the county has already received their ballots from. I'm just reading an email here to see if I can get the area that those 1,500 votes came from. ErieCountyPA.gov. Nothing as of yet, so we're looking to see if we can find the location for the election night results. Okay, so no. So I want to reiterate the counties that have been, or rather the townships that have already sent in their election day votes to the Board of Elections. Northeast Township, 1st and 2nd District, Springfield Township, Summit Township, Union Township, Venango, Washington, Waterford, and Wayne Township. So Jeff, a couple from the suburbs. You look at Summit Township, clearly a suburban area of Erie County. Northeast, Waterford, Washington Township, more of the rural areas. So there's a bit of a hodgepodge of ballots that have been returned already. So it's really hard to tell, in essence, until you know where those votes came from, right? As to how it affects one candidate or another.
Yeah, no, it depends on where they're coming from. Although here's the trend: local elections are being nationalized, and essentially the Virginia race, by those who know, is being called for the Republican. And so, and again, we're here to talk about Erie County, but if Virginia is a bellwether, and I think it is, it's going to be a Republican night.
Did you just say they called the race?
It has not been called officially, but expert prognosticators who are not kind of working for networks have actually called the race.
They've already
so
called
not a television network.
Wow.
But Dave Wasserman is a name that if you follow kind of politics, he's well regarded, and he's posted on Twitter that he, quote unquote, he's seen enough.
Wow.
And so it looks to be so. If Virginia is a sign, and I think it is, the Republicans, wherever there is an election tonight, Republicans are going to do better than average.
And again, this is election night for so many across the U.S. with your local municipalities, your county elections, things of that nature. Again, that would be very, very big for Republicans in the state of Virginia. Again, a candidate for the Democrat that I believe used to be the head of the DNC. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, he's an old Clinton hand. He's a former, very successful governor of Virginia. He's an expert fundraiser. Mm-hmm. There's just my sense there's just a national mood out there of just, of impatience with COVID, impatience with the economy being kind of stuck a little bit in neutral.
Right.
It's a tough atmosphere to run if you're a Democrat.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to Lisa Adams now. She is at the Tyler Titus campaign headquarters at Pier 6, which is where his party is tonight. Now, one of the individuals that is there is Erie Mayor Joe Schember. Now, we can confidently project at Erie News now that Joe Schember has won re-election in the mayoral race, partially because he didn't run against anybody. He was the only candidate on the ballot, so he really only needed one vote and he would be in. But Lisa is with the mayor as he has officially won re-election, and the mayor also talking about the race tonight here as Lisa is at Tyler's campaign headquarters. So let's go ahead and hear from Lisa Adams as the race continues to heat up in the county executive race.
Well, good evening. This is Lisa Adams. It's a little noisy here. We're at Pier 6. I'm joined by Mayor Joe Schember. Got a little light on the subject here.
Yes.
You're winning a second term tonight, but obviously unopposed here in the general election. Is it gratifying to know that the GOP didn't put anybody up against you?
It is a good feeling. There was no GOP candidate in the primary, but I did launch a writing campaign with the GOP and was lucky enough to win that. So this has been great. I really appreciate the support, and my team and I are really looking forward to really moving Erie forward over the next 4 years.
You had a lot of energy and optimism when you came into office the first time, but COVID has really dealt the city quite a blow. City Hall not even open for a long while.
Yes.
Can you recover? I know your goal was to bring more people to Erie, but those census numbers are certainly discouraging.
Yes, they are. We think those are wrong. We're going to challenge those next spring when we're allowed to. We think we should be at least over 100,000 people in the city. And we do believe once we get past COVID We still have to overcome that, but once we do, we think we'll really be able to move Erie forward with more good family-sustaining jobs and many more people moving to Erie.
So you have a new employee to help determine how to spend the American Rescue Plan funds. That was something that you couldn't do with your staff alone in council?
That's right. Jackie Spry is the person we hired to do that. We may also have to hire another person or two to work on the COVID. We have to spend all that by the end of 2026, and that's less than 5 years away now. So we will work hard on that. We want to spend it the best possible way. We're really looking to raise up minorities who are most impacted by COVID-19, but we're also doing things like fixing the infrastructure, making that much better with the COVID money, and then we're trying to put plans in place to keep things that way going forward.
Well, I know it's getting close to your bedtime. You're an early to bed, early to rise, and you also have to speak to council tomorrow. There is a measure being put forward by some council members to put a couple $1 million into improvements at Roger Young Park, but that's before your new employee gets to take a look at how to spend the rescue plan funds. So is that, in your view, getting the cart before the horse? What are you going to tell council tomorrow?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. To me, that's the cart before the horse. We have to have a plan before we allocate money to certain things. We don't want to do that. We'll argue as strongly as we can to set that aside for now. Let's decide what we're going to do first and then allocate the money.
Let the record show I was asking a question, not stating an opinion.
Thank you.
You can't agree with me.
Yes,
well, again, congratulations on winning a second term. I know you did have opponents on your party side in the primary, so we'll be interested to see how the second term goes.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And thank you. Join us live later here from Pier 6. We're actually here to cover the Titus campaign as the results come in, and I'll be here all night keeping you up to date on things. This is Lisa Adams reporting.
I am jealous of the mayor. He gets to go to bed, what, at 9:30? where I love that. No, Ethan and I were joking a little bit earlier. We were like, maybe we'll have hammocks up here or something like that. And if the race goes on throughout the night, we might have to sleep with pillows and sleeping bags on the alert desk floor. You don't have to join us for that, Jeff.
Okay.
You're going to be okay. Anyway, though, as we go back here from the alert desk, again, thanks again for joining us here. Couple of things from the mayor conversation with Lisa Adams. He's planning on challenging the results from the U.S. Census. Erie, the city itself, was counted as less than 100,000 people. The mayor has been very adamant. Listen, we are a city of more than 6 figures, and of course that's important because when it comes to funding, that's a big chunk of funding you lose if you have less than 100,000. So he's going to go against that, and obviously looking to see how the election results will play out when it comes to the county executive race. Jeff, obviously a win for Mayor Schember. He didn't have any opposition that he had to face. What are some of the challenges you think he's going to have to face in his second term as mayor of Erie?
First thing, he has a different governing partner as county executive. Whoever it is that's going to win, I mean, this is just, it's not Kathy Dahlkemper.
Right.
And my impression, especially during the pandemic, is they worked hand in glove together. This is, if you're the mayor of Erie, this is probably the best position the mayor of Erie has been in what, 40 years? I mean,
sure.
You have a pile of money. You have a new direction that's already been charted. And now it's about, maintaining that consensus is really what it is in downtown development. I mean, there's so many exciting things that are happening in the kind of the urban core of Erie, and just kind of maintaining and charting that path and having people kind of maintain that path and keeping the momentum and the excitement and the enthusiasm as you go through the different bumps in the road.
We're going to go back out now live to Warren County. Our Isley Gooden has been a trooper out there. She's been counting results. No, not her counting results, but getting results from ballot boxes, getting an idea of exactly how turnout is in Warren County. We're going to go live to her now as she gives an update on Warren County and their vote count out in the northeast portion of Pennsylvania. Take a look.
Good evening, everyone. It's Isley Gooden here with Erie News Now. I'm still at the Warren County Courthouse where they are starting to count the votes. A lot of poll workers are coming in and out with their wagons filled with ballots, and they're eager to get these all counted tonight. And they're saying that this might go in until later tonight, maybe midnight or even later. So as you can see, right now there's no one walking in, but they've been coming in and out of the building, bringing them in, and they have an officer here, of course, making sure everything is safe and secure. But we're expected to hear these. They had kind of a less turnout here at the polls, more than what they expected, and some were thinking it's because of the inclement weather that this area was expecting to get tonight, as there's been a couple flurries of snow.
All right,
and
Isley,
if you watch
you
Erie
clearly
News Now,
can see, as Isley has been doing great reporting here, but again, you hear the lack of vote turnout in Warren County. That's been the case all around the area here in 2021 with the local election races. You've been hearing lack of voter turnout, and it seems like it's also trickling towards Warren County as well. Isley was talking a little bit about the Warren County update and where that stands right now in terms of their races. Let me see if I can get them here in Warren County, if we have that for us. We don't. There is a battle for Warren County Mayor Phil Gilbert and David Wortman. We'll go ahead and see if we can take that to air here. Here you go. The Democrat Phil Gilbert, Republican David Wortman over in Warren County, but right now there's no data at all to give you at this moment. Looks like there might be some new data in from Erie City Council. Let's see. Doesn't look like there's much new information. I'm just going through the data here. Doug Rogers doing a great job of making sure all this data is correct. We were trying to take out that 100% reporting that was up there in the top right corner a couple of minutes ago. So it looks like the data is still the same. It was just Doug changing up a couple of things, and we appreciate him for his efforts and what he does on a really minutely basis for us here at the station. All right, Jeff, as we bring you back in here, it seems clearly that the voter turnout just isn't there in any of the three counties. We already heard from Jameson Hicksonbaugh, who was in Meadville. Crawford County is calling it quits for tonight. They said at 5 o'clock, listen, we are not going to be able to get any results in until at least a few days from now, maybe weeks from now. Do you see that as a challenge really across the U.S., or is it kind of just a matter of location in terms of how quickly or how slowly a vote can get counted?
What I've been reading nationally is that county election boards are having a more difficult time recruiting people to work at precincts, to work and counting the vote. All the controversies in 2020 have driven people away. This is why, Doug Smith in our Erie County Elections Office able, to get the votes counted as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible in 21 is that much more impressive, because they're, all across the country, people who have the job that Doug Smith has of reporting more and more obstacles. People just not interested. On top of everything else, there's COVID.
We've had an employee concern crisis, if you will, in really any industry for quite some time. And it's something that, as we go back to the county executive race, that's going to have to be pretty high up on their list. We've seen businesses, as you drive down the street, I'm sure you've seen it, for hire. We'll hire $15, $17, $20 an hour, I saw a couple of days ago at a local business. How do you fix something like that? I mean, with a labor shortage, the county executive said earlier today that people have really reevaluated their lives in the pandemic. Is there a way to be able to get the labor force back up and thriving in Erie County? And if so, how does the next county executive try to get that back on track?
Okay, you go back, I'm a historian, you go back to history, and it makes me think of after World War II.
Sure.
And there were, it took several years, it took 3 or 4 years for the economy to successfully transition from wartime to peacetime. And you had the same sort of, supply chain issues and labor shortages. County executive and, and political leadership matter. but it's just going to take a few years. I mean, you're seeing more and more people retiring early. You're seeing younger people opt out of the labor force, all people mid-career and reprioritizing their life. It's just going to take a few years. I mean, there's going to be, this is one of the new normal that we didn't anticipate was going to be people kind of exiting the labor market, and how do you get people to enter the labor market? It's a challenging time if you're running a restaurant, for example, to attract and maintain staff.
And we don't know who's going to win tonight, but that was something specifically Brenton Davis was running on pretty considerably in this campaign. Was, I want to get people back to work. I want to build up the infrastructure, the industry in Erie. And that was a big part of his plan. So it could be that if he's able to win tonight, that could be something that you look at and you say, whether it's Titus if he wins with the community college, or Davis with the infrastructure and the industry, there are certain issues that if one candidate wins tonight or tomorrow, they will have a target on their back to make sure that they get that done.
Look, middle income, middle class, middle aged people vote. And I would think the Brenton Davis message of, let's move back to the old normal, go out to a restaurant, be able to expect it to be open, right? Get on a plane, expect there not to be massive delays. The county executive doesn't necessarily control those things, but that's speaking to the issues of the people who vote. Now, that's not the issues for all people, but if you think about the folks who are going to turn out on a local election, that's the issue that I think that middle income, middle class, middle aged people, that's who's voting. That's what they're voting on, is that they want life to be a more normal, right, as we're moving out of COVID, and to kind of return to, some of the basics that we had kind of taken for granted.
Mm-hmm. Here's a good look of a picture here at some polling places earlier today. You can see, actually, no, this is inside the Erie County Courthouse. This is actually a look at some of the pictures that's you can see happening right now. We have live results, as we said, here on our website, but you can see the ballots counted, ballots continuing to be brought in. And again, these people that you see here are from different polling places. So there are individuals at polling places in townships across the county that are designated to bring back the ballots to the Erie County Board of Elections, give them to the individuals who will then count those ballots. And as we saw with about 1,500 or so votes coming in somewhere in the vicinity of 20 minutes ago, we haven't had a live result since then. It does take time. Your places such as Corey, your places such as Washington Township and Edinburgh, whether that's Albion and Northwestern. I mean, there is a lot of time, precious time, that takes place in something like this, and that's why we're waiting for more results to come in, and we're not necessarily getting results immediately here. Hold on one second. We've got a live video coming in. Let's see if we can catch it. Eva Mastromattio, she is on the scene.
ErieNewsNow.com have been coming from those mail-in ballots, but we know that there's updates still to come, and we expect one maybe around 10 o'clock.
Exactly. So we've been we're bringing you the latest results all throughout the evening, and as you can see, many people are still bringing in all the results. So if you're checking our website, you're checking the results, and you're saying you're surprised by it or not, there's still a lot more ballots that need counted. And we'll be here all throughout the night. We'll be on Erie News Now live at 10 and 11, bringing you the latest election updates and results as we know them too.
Absolutely. It is a busy place here. You can hear a lot of the sounds behind us, but again, a lot of the ballots being brought in right now, so more waiting and seeing and counting, and we'll bring it all to you, as Elspeth said, at 10 o'clock.
Exactly. We'll see you soon.
All right, that's Eva and Elspeth. They are in the most exciting place right now, the Erie County Board of Elections, where these ballots are being counted. And they did, Jeff, they did give us an important update here. We might be seeing some new results around 10 o'clock, which is about a half hour from now, judging by my data tool here that I have. The latest results just came, well, there were some results actually just came in, not for Erie County Executive. We'll get those to you in a second. But the last results not coming in since 9:06, 9:07, 25 minutes ago. So You know, as the night moves on, we might get a clearer picture of who's going to win, but if results don't start coming in faster, we're not going to get a winner by what would be midnight tonight.
No, it seems like they're coming in slowly tonight, but maybe we'll get a big dump of votes at the 10 o'clock hour.
All right, let's go ahead and see. Hold on. As I'm saying this, Doug Rogers texting me new results are coming in now, so stand by. We're about to get new results here in just a second. 30 out of the 149 precincts are going to be counted in this new batch. So we're going to get a large chunk of votes here, Jeff. So stand by. We're about to get some new votes. Again, this is 30 of the 149 precincts that will be coming in. That is a total of 5,862 Election Day votes and those mail-in ballots that we talked about. So it looks like, by my math, Jeff, about 4,200 votes are coming in this new batch. So we will see exactly how much ground, if at all, Brenton Davis makes up, or if Tyler Titus extends his lead. And those results are coming in soon here. But again, this is a large chunk of ballots, and they're in right now. Let's go to them. We start in the Erie County executive race. Tyler Titus and Brenton Davis. New results coming in. There you go. The gap has closed for the Democrat slightly. Tyler Titus now up to 13,715. He gains just about 1,900 votes from that batch. Brenton Davis now has 6,534 votes. He gains 2,400. So Davis winning those votes about 1 3/4 to 1 there. Davis now trailing Tyler Titus in this race by about 7,200 votes. 68% to 32%. So the Election Day ballots coming in, and Titus maintaining a lead, but it has narrowed. Jeff, quick thoughts on that before we move on. What do you make of those batches of results?
It's it is good news for Davis, and it's not terrible news for Titus, but if you think, what is that, 16,000? Is that where he is? His vote total?
13,700.
Yeah, he needs 16,000. For me, I'm using the barometer of Kathy Dahlkemper and her victory in 17. He needs 16,000 votes. Brenton Davis gained 4 points from 4 to 5 points from just a few minutes ago.
Yes,
yeah,
4 points.
That is not a small leap, and so you do that a few more times throughout the night. Dr. Titus's lead is going to slowly evaporate.
So right now, 30 of 149 precincts have reported. And if Davis is able to gain 4 percentage points per 30, it's going to end up being a close race. But again, it just depends on how many of those votes skew Republican when you get to the rural and suburban areas. We don't know how the suburban areas are going to vote, but we'll see. Okay, so that's the county executive new information. New information on the Erie County Sheriff's race we want to get to as well. This is the executive. Let's get to the sheriff's race. Maybe. I'm having a little bit of trouble pulling it up here. Hold on just 1 second. I'm going to make sure that I'm able to get to this here. All right, 1 second here. We're just having a tad bit of issues right now on the tickets for sheriff. There we go. New information in. Sheriff's race. 20% reporting. Chris Campanelli now up to 15,840 votes. He leads Brian Shank 77 to 23%. Shank now up to 47.63. By my math here, Jeff, that's 2,400 votes added for Campanelli, 1,800 for Brian Shank. So Campanelli extends his lead now at 15,840, Shank at 4,700. So unlike the county executive race where it seemed like Titus's lead shrunk, this is good news for the Democrat on the sheriff's race.
Yeah, no. He's 9 points ahead of what Dr. Titus polled, and he's winning the day of vote and the mail-in ballots. He's going to need a big lead when those rural votes come in because they're going to be heavily tilted towards the Republican. But this is I mean, the Campanelli-Schenck race is going to be close. I think Campanelli has the edge.
Yeah, it will be very close. Again, Campanelli, though, running very well. 15,000 to 4,700. His lead is already over 11,000 votes early on. Let's go to the Erie County Clerk of Records, the other new batch of information that came in right now. Aubrey Haggerty-Haynes holding steady. She was at 72.28 the last we checked. Same here on Edward DiMatteo. 14,464 votes for Haynes and 5,700 votes for DiMatteo, so she holds serve there. There were a couple of other big batches of votes to come in. And in Erie County Council, we now have some votes coming back for Erie County Council in the 6th District. Lydia Lath, the Democrat, at 56%. Samuel Charles Bale at 44%. 851 votes to 680. That's about a 170 vote lead for Lydia Lath, 56 to 44%. And in the other Erie County Council battle, you can see Liz Allen's lead has increased to 23%, 5,900 votes for her. And then Chuck Nelson, Mauricio Troop, and Jasmine Flores are quite literally dead even, 5,246, 5,225, 5,160. So that's a tight race, as we've been saying here in the last couple of minutes. As we continue along here in our live election coverage on Erie News Now, just making sure there's no other results to report to you. So let's go ahead and go back now to the county executive race. And you see again the numbers there, and Davis starting to close the gap. You know, Jeff, this has to be mind-numbing for these candidates and the tension that they must feel. You and I are sitting here, and we're excited to get back results. We want the latest and greatest information. You know, as a political expert in what you've done in the political field, is there a point in the night when you're a candidate that, because you have a team around you, that you kind of get a feeling of whether you're going to win the night or not?
Yes.
And how early is it? I mean, let's just say this. Is it now? Is it in 20 minutes? Is it in a half hour? I mean, when would you expect a candidate, even if the race isn't called, to know, listen, this is going one way or another?
Look, throughout the night, you're having a sense based on turnout, and you're getting reports throughout the day on, your precincts where your vote is coming from, and you get a sense of what the turnout is like, and they have all kinds of models. And so throughout the day, they're already getting a sense of, they know the vote total they need, and they're getting a sense throughout the day of whether they're getting the vote total. And they have a sense, they have a spidey sense in the back of their head as to whether, by the time polls closed, or even before polls closed, of whether they're getting those numbers from their different precincts. By the early afternoon, Tyler and Britton had a sense of whether their voters were turning out or not. And then, I do know this in 2018, our incumbent congressman, there were whispers in his campaign that he had lost to the Democratic challenger because the numbers out of Erie County were so strong.
Right.
And so you're going to hear that, and you always want to resist, kind of like fully kind of believing the projections,
sure,
because you never know what can happen. But I think they have a sense as to whether it's going to be a good night or not, and you're trying to put a brave face on for the cameras because, you want to count the votes. You're not totally sure. I mean, they're flying in the dark a little bit as we are, okay, here are the vote totals. Well, where are those vote totals coming from? And so there's rumors flying around, surely, but by the evening time, I think probably both had a sense of whether their voters had turned out or not.
What information do they get that we necessarily don't?
It's all publicly available information. You can get a sense of, how many people have turned out in any particular precinct, and you can figure out based on past patterns in voter registration what you need from each precinct in order to get to the vote total of what you need. So they're able to figure this out kind of in real time.
Sure.
And then what you're trying to do then is you're trying to rouse people in those precincts in their neighborhood to get out the vote. And so, there's no kind of secret to this. This is all publicly available information. do you want to do the work and figure this out?
That's the big question as we continue along here on our election night coverage. Isaac Petcash, Jeff Bloodworth with you in the Election Alert Desk Hot Zone. I just made that up. It's the Alert Desk, but we'll call it that for tonight. We do have an update from the camp of Brenton Davis, our Ethan Kibbe, who was gracious enough to spend some time with us tonight before he came out, has an update from Summit Township where the Brenton Davis camp is holding and hoping for a victory tonight. Let's get an update from Ethan here as we hear from the Davis camp.
Good evening, everyone. Ethan Kibbe here. I'm at Davis Campaign headquarters at Summit Plaza on Peach Street. Let me give you a look here. So you can see the crew here, and you actually see them watching Isaac on Erie News Now. So good taste in television, certainly here at Davis Campaign headquarters. But folks here feeling, reasonably confident. They like what they've seen so far with results data, especially with mail-in data. So again, still a long way to go, but a rather jovial mood, as you can kind of tell here at Davis Campaign headquarters. Folks feeling reasonably good about their candidate, and it's just a matter of time, though. It's a waiting game. So as we await more results, we just take in the scene here. Again, the Davis Campaign headquarters, where folks at the moment feeling good about the data they're seeing and awaiting more from the county, which we expect to have reasonably soon. Make sure to tune into Erie News Now Plus and look at our Facebook page, because we've got updates from all over the county right here. And, of course, we'll be on air, Erie News Now, at 10 o'clock on the CW in about 25 minutes. Hope you'll tune in for that.
Well, I want to say to the people at the Brenton Davis camp, thank you for watching us. Hello. Hope you're doing well. I know it's a wild and crazy night, but it's going to get a little bit longer as we await more results. Good choice of choosing Erie News Now as we bring you election coverage you can count on. Let's go ahead and take a look at some results from Crawford County. I'm being told that Crawford County results are coming in right now, and they are. Doug Rogers puts them up faster than he can tell me on his keyboard. Let's go ahead and look right now in the Conneaut School District Region 1, taking a look at some of the votes coming in. Not many at all. 85-14 the vote total for Ryan Klink, the Republican, Ashley Luke, the Democrat, at 14%. You see less than 100 votes coming in from that in Crawford County. In the Pencrest School District, you can see right now it is Robert Johnson, the Republican. More votes coming in there, 535 for him. And then 3 independents trail him, but not by much. 516 for Teresa Jean Kroll. Matthew Vogt at 502. Brian Lynch, 448. Robert Gulick, the Democrat, sitting at 10% with 211. Here is really where the bread gets made in Crawford County. Meadville City Council, one of the big races out there. Look at how close it is so far. 7% reporting James Roja, the Republican. His similar party opponent, Nancy Mangillo-Bittner, also at 29%, 795 votes for her. Gretchen Myers, the Democrat, and Jack Harkless, 614 and 540 votes, respectively. Also, since we've got it, let's go to the Randolph Township Supervisor, shall we? Sam Steck, 71%. Don Sutter, the Independent, at 92 votes, 220 votes so far in Crawford County. So getting some results from all over the area here as we continue along on our election night coverage here on Erie News Now. Isaac Petcash, Jeff Bloodworth. We've been with you for a while here. Jeff's got a few more minutes left in the chair before he gets to go home free. Jeff, so results coming in everywhere. Crawford County, we're not expecting to know much tonight. And again, as the results continue to come in, we really see, unfortunately, that voter turnout, it just isn't there. And one of the things that we had talked about before the broadcast is 30% of the county isn't much to begin with. That's the average of how many people vote Erie, Crawford, and Warren counties in elections. So anything less than that seems very, very low because it's low to begin with.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's a sign of people kind of being exhausted from politics and people being, a reflection of kind of the national scene, which is, the economy's not in recession, but it's not the recovery I think that a lot of people were hoping for in the summer. And these kinds of circumstances, it's the out party that takes it on the chin. Or excuse me, it's the in party that takes it on the chin.
And do we see that, too, with national results as well? Clearly, right now, the Democrats in Congress control both the House and the Senate and the White House. They control all 3 branches. Is that something that happens on a national level as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and local races have become nationalized. Once upon a time, local races could be insulated from kind of the national dynamics. But, I mean, for Democrats, they're fearing that this is a precursor of the midterms of next November. And they will be, if not worse, if the economy doesn't pick up and the world does not look more normal than it does now.
Sure. I want to give you an update, the latest numbers that we have right now in the Erie County Sheriff's race, because we're about to go to Kara Coleman in a second. You can see 20% reporting. The numbers we gave you a few minutes ago. Chris Campanelli, the Democrat, 15,840 for him, 4,700, just a shade over that for Brian Shank, the Republican. We want to go out now live to Kara Coleman. Kara is with Chris Campanelli, the Democrat for the Erie County Sheriff. Her and John Last are covering this race for you here around the county. Kara has an update for Campanelli's camp as he looks to take home the victory in the sheriff's race.
Hey there, we are here at Calamares in downtown Erie. We are covering the Erie County Sheriff's race and the candidate on the Democratic side here, Chris Campanelli. Chris, how are you feeling? We are, a couple hours now past the polls closing. How's it feel?
I'm excited. I feel really good about the vote so far. There's not going to be a celebration until we know for sure. Celebrate till the next day.
Talk to someone from your staff who said you guys are feeling confident but not overconfident.
Always from day one we played it like we were 2 runs behind. So until the final sound of the bell, we don't know what
we did just get in some election results. We have about 30 precincts out of the 149 reporting. We do have a pretty considerable lead with those mail-in ballots at this point. You talked a lot about doing your campaign experience, and that's what you were really going on with this, correct?
Yes. With 25 years in the office, I've done every job from the entry-level deputy sheriff to the position of captain that I'm at now. I feel it'll be a seamless transition to be Erie County's next sheriff.
So if you are elected into that position, what's it going to look like day one? What's going to be on your agenda?
Day one on the agenda, honestly, I think we're going to have to concentrate on training. We're going to have to concentrate on equipping our deputies a little better. It really, training and equipping are the two main things.
We do want to give you a look inside. We had to step out because we wanted to make sure you could hear Chris Campanelli. This is a look at their election party. So there are things happening here down at Calamares. Chris, we know you have a lot of people to thank inside as you guys are getting together. Any last words as those votes continue to come in tonight?
Sure. I have to say this is probably the most humbling experience of my life. For the people of Erie County to have faith enough for me to come out and vote for anything else so far. The words can't express it other than the fact of I will be the best job as sheriff.
Whatever the result tonight, do you think you're gonna sleep pretty well after a long campaign?
Absolutely no question about that.
You'll sleep like a baby. I think a lot of the candidates could probably say that. But we're going to be here covering the Campanelli campaign as those votes continue to come in down here from Calamares.
All right, thank you, Kara. Very lively atmosphere at Calamares. It's a Democratic ticket right now that's pretty happy with their results. You can see at the moment Campanelli in the lead, 15,840 votes. Still early, very, very early, just 20% of the precincts in. But again, a lead is a lead no matter what as we continue to bring in results. So let's go ahead and take a look back at our state results now. We have a lot of races coming in from the state of Pennsylvania, including, if I can get them up, there we are. Hold on just a second. I got the wrong button. So many buttons to press, it's hard to know which ones you need to press and which ones you don't. There we go. Let's take a look at some races in Pennsylvania, shall we? Supreme Court Justice, this race has tightened. 40% of the reports in. Maria McLaughlin, 55% for the Democrat. She's got 524,000, just slightly north of that. Kevin Brobson, the Republican, at 45%, 435,000 votes for him. Still, though, 60% left of the vote to be counted. How about for Pennsylvania Superior Court Judge? Tamika Lane and Megan Sullivan virtually running neck and neck. The difference, 22,000 votes. That's it, with 40% of the precincts in for them. In terms of retaining, or rather the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court judge, Lori Dumas, 27%. David Spurgeon also up there as well. They're running neck and neck with each other. Spurgeon and Stacey Wallace very close. Just 9,000 votes separating the two of them. Drew Compton, the incumbent Republican, in some trouble here at 23%, 424,000 votes for him. The next ones you'll see are all yes or no votes. These are just whether to retain Superior Court Judge Bender. Right now, Bender looks to be in control of his seat. It looks like he will keep that potentially with 62% there. Also, in terms of the yes-no, in terms of retaining Superior Court Judge Bose, yes, 64% with 410,000 votes to 233,000. For retaining Commonwealth Judge Covey, again, the yeses outweigh the no's. 392,000 for the yes for Covey, 250,000 for the no for Covey. And then finally tonight, to retain Commonwealth Judge Jubreiler, 63% at 403,000 votes yes. It's just a shade less than 240,000 votes to the no as we continue along to get results in the state as well. We do want to keep you up to date with those because those are also important, although not necessarily as contested and looked at as are the ones here in our area. We've got 5 minutes left with Jeff Bloodworth. We forced him here on the alert desk for too long. But Jeff, again, your expertise is beyond anything that any of us could provide. And I think throughout the night tonight, one thing's clear. Things are going to get drawn out. You and I were talking during the Facebook Live video. We both expected more results than what we have right now. Not saying that we expected the race to be called, but we did expect more. And right now, with 20% of the precincts reporting, it's looking like the race is not going to necessarily get called tonight. And if it did, vote would have to come in quick.
Yeah, no, this is it's coming in slow drips and drabs. I mean, it's not going to be November of 2020 where it was a week.
We hope not.
But it's going to be moving on. For the candidates, a long campaign season is going to turn into a very long evening.
So if you are right now, you look at the timeline for the rest of the night here. It's almost 10 o'clock. You can see 20% of the vote in. Titus with the lead. What happens now? I mean, is there going to be more vote coming in? And if so, how much? If the race doesn't get called tonight, do they call off the counting at a certain time? How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, eventually, this has been a long day, so eventually they're going to have to end the counting sometime late into the night, send people home and resume counting tomorrow. At the same time, I mean, again, if a lot of the vote is still outstanding, you're not going to concede. But I would think by midnight, the candidates are going to have a real sense, kind of deep down in their gut, what happened. And if you're going to watch an interview with them, you can get a sense by watching body language. And there's going to, and especially if you're the winner, right? If you're sensing you're going to win, you're going to be that candidate is going to be betraying that. And I'll be curious to see which of the two county executive candidates are going to face the cameras first, and then be able to judge by some body language. And again, Campanelli, and again, things happen. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but the Campanelli is running 9 points ahead of Tyler Titus. That is, Campanelli's not going to win this by 20 points. That is not a good sign. You wanted Campanelli, if you're Tyler Titus, you wanted to be running ahead, and if you're not ahead, you wanted to be basically even. But I would watch the interviews. And see who comes out first to see the cameras, and I think you'll get some clues.
It's funny you mentioned that because in 4 minutes on Erie News Now at 10 o'clock, I'm actually going to take live the feeds from Lisa Adams and Ethan Kibbe. They're going to be reporting live at the Titus and the Davis camp. And so we'll take those live and we'll see, A, if the candidates speak to us, they were supposed to tonight, and B, what the mood is. Because like you said, that alone could really determine things. Yes. It's only 10 o'clock, but we still have some information. Oh, hold on one second. We have new information. We have new data right before our 10 o'clock newscast. Let's get to that. right now. And we start with the county executive race. New data literally in right now. And again, you see the numbers are tightening. As of this moment, you see the results. Tyler Titus, 17,054 votes. He has 58% of the vote. I'm just going to tally this right now. Brenton Davis, 12,352 votes. And by my math, Tyler Titus gains 3,300 votes. Brenton Davis gains 5,800. So Davis gains 2,000 votes here on Tyler Titus right before the 10 o'clock newscast. Really quickly, I do want to give you an update. I can't switch the graphic because Alex Popacek, our producer, is taking control of them for the 10 o'clock newscasts because we have to have them live on air. Chris Campanelli has 20,600 votes. Brian Shank with 9,200. So Brian Shank has actually gained some votes. It's 69 to 31 in that race. So, as we leave the air tonight, what we know, at least with Jeff Bloodworth, I'm still going to be on. What we know right now, Tyler Titus has a lead. It is, though, shrinking. And the Campanelli versus Shank race is also tightening, but not as much. As you leave the air tonight, Jeff, your final thoughts and how you think this could play out tonight. If you want to pick the winner on air, feel free. What's your thought? How do you think this plays out?
You know, I'm not often correct. Just ask my wife. But I mean, last night my sense was that Campanelli was going to win and that Brenton Davis was going to pull this out, and the numbers kind of seem to bear that out. And it's not going to be a runaway victory, you know, by Campanelli. But I think we're going to people splitting their tickets. I mean, this is something that we don't see as much of anymore, but I think we might get a split decision at the top of the tickets in the local election. All right, so Jeff, first of all, I want to say thank you for your hard work, dedication, and being willing to be with us here. We're getting set to hear from Ethan Kibbe, who is with Brenton Davis. It looks to me like Jim Wirtz is going to speak with Lisa Adams tonight at 10 o'clock. So we'll get those live here in just a second. Again, Jeff, your expertise is impeccable, and I could talk to you for hours. But I appreciate you being here. And if you want to listen to the candidates, you feel free, and maybe we can react after and then head out if that's okay with you. Sure. Let's go ahead and listen to them here. We're going to start with Lisa Adams. I believe she is with the Tyler Titus camp. Let's go ahead and see if we can listen to her right now. Or maybe it's Ethan Kibbe first. Just checking. Ethan Kibbe's with Brenton Davis. Here he is.
Come in that put you much closer in this race, 42% now. What was the feeling when you saw those results come in?
It's no surprise. I mean, anybody who's followed Erie County politics for any amount of time knows that the Democratic candidates tend to lead, and then the rural vote tends to weigh in and just whittles at that lead. It's just a matter of where the votes equalize out at the end of the night. So I'm feeling good about it. We put in the work, and we're confident.
That said, just how difficult is it as you sit here and wait, and you're behind? You know you're going to get closer at least, but how difficult is it to be patient?
You know, I've waited 5 years for this moment, lots of hard work, you know, a few more hours or another day. We're patient. That's what it's about.
Brenton, thanks so much. Haley, we'll send it back to you. Lots going on here at the Davis campaign, but for now, Ethan Kibbe, Erie News Now.
Okay, that's Brenton Davis speaking with Ethan Kibbe. We now go
Go ahead.
speaking with Jim Wirtz at the Tyler.
Boy, everybody said that this would be a close race, as county executive races have been in the past. You can take it from Kathy Dahlkemper, who won it in a squeaker herself the last time she just walked into the House. Titus is watching the return somewhere else, not quite ready to talk to us yet, but we are joined by the Democratic Party Chair, Jim Wirtz, who's going to give us a little sense of how it's going. So Tyler is up right now. That lead has gotten a little smaller just with these last numbers.
Sure. As the in-person votes from today come come in, that margin is shrinking a bit. We were ahead by about 7,000 votes after a large percentage of the mail-in ballots were counted, and those are going about as expected. Tyler is controlling those mail ballots about 3-1 over Brenton Davis, and we expect that to hold with the remainder of the mail ballots as well. So this will be a tight race as always once all the votes are counted, but a lot's going to depend on what the total turnout was today in Erie County.
Yeah, turnout, we always hear, especially in the county executive's race. So the early indication is that some turnout was very low in the city.
Yeah, some turnout low in the city. We had a few precincts that were underperforming, as we say, but there were precincts like that throughout Erie County. So some strongholds that are a bit more politically active, we saw those precincts do very well, especially when you added in the mail ballots, over 40, near 50%, some even higher than that we expect by the end of the count. But it was a tough day out there, all kinds of Erie weather for the voters.
Well, just real quickly, the candidates still optimistic?
I think we're all cautiously optimistic at this point. We got to count every vote because, as you know, this race is always incredibly tight. So we're looking forward to seeing all the ballots come in.
All right, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. We'll be keeping an eye on things, as Jim said, as those polling numbers come in from the in-person vote. And I'll be back live with much more coming up tonight on Erie News Now at 11. Live at Pier 6, Lisa Adams, Erie News Now.
Okay, so Jeff, I'll keep you for just a couple of minutes. We just heard live from Brenton Davis, Jim Wirtz, Lisa Adams saying Tyler not quite ready to talk yet. Let's start with Brenton Davis. That's who we led with here from Ethan Kibbe. What do you make of his quick chat with our reporter there?
Well, he was willing to speak at 10 o'clock. He said he was confident. Again, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of vote out there that hasn't been counted.
Sure.
But I got the sense that they're feeling pretty good. They have a sense of the vote that they can expect. There's a lot of vote to be counted. But the fact that he was willing to kind of come out and say he was confident in front of the cameras, you don't want to come out in front of the cameras and say you're confident you're going to win and then lose.
Sure.
So I think they have a sense that they have a pretty decent shot at victory.
On the other side, Jim Wirtz talking, Tyler Titus not on camera for 10 o'clock. What do you make of that conversation?
It could be anything. I mean, I'm sure they are trying to figure out, what vote has not been counted, which precincts are still out. I mean, I have a sense of what might be happening, but it's just a sense. I mean, there's the famous photo of Harry Truman holding up the newspaper, Dewey defeats Truman. So prognosticators get things wrong all the time. That's part of what makes democracy kind of fun and entertaining. But I just keep looking at the Campanelli number, and I don't think Campanelli, if he wins, he's not going to win by 15, 20 points. And to be running 9 points behind, those are all the same ballots from all the same precincts that have been counted. That's not a good sign for Dr. Titus.
What a night. It's 10:05, and things are literally just heating up as we're getting more and more results in. Jeff, again, I thank you, really. Your expertise is unrivaled, and I think we're in for a long night, but a fun night nonetheless. These nights are awesome, I think.
Yeah, I see the hammock for you.
The hammock or a sleeping bag, I got to pick. I honestly am good with either of those, so Ethan and I will just kind of hang out in here for the rest of the night. But again, appreciate you coming in. Looking forward to working more with you as we work through here. Great news, at least for the two of us. There's another election night next year. So, and maybe we'll have to come back in tomorrow if the race isn't done. So
I'm available.
We'll stand by on that. All right, Jeff, much appreciated as always. And looking forward to continuing here on this election night. All right, that's Jeff Bloodworth with you. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break on this stream. I am going to take a 5-10 minute break. Once I come back, we'll have live results for you. Haley Potter's got you covered right now for Erie News Now at 10. We heard from both candidates. We're going to hear from them both again at 11 o'clock. We'll be back in just a few minutes. I'll put this screen up, and once we come back, we'll make sure to have live results for you. Jeff Bloodworth signing off for us tonight, part of our expert panel this evening. But we still have more on Erie News Now, our election live coverage you can count on when we come back. Don't go anywhere. here at the Alert Desk, Isaac Petcash, Erie News Now. I was informed by Ethan Kibbe that the Davis camp and I'm sure the Titus camp are watching here right now. So it's hard to go off the air for very long with all of these results that are coming in. I'm going to show you results in just a minute. We're currently in the 10 o'clock news, so our Alex Popacek has the graphics control for a couple of things we're doing live on the air. So I'll get those to you in a second. We'll show you updated results. Here's where we stand right now. I'm going to look at my pad and paper, doing things the old-fashioned way with numbers. Here's where the county executive race stands right now. 17,054 votes for Tyler Titus, 12,352 votes for Brenton Davis. Both these candidates have had very big gains in specific data dumps. Tyler Titus had a gigantic lead, about 7,000 votes when the mail-in ballots came in. That was a big win for Titus, as he essentially won 3-1 of the mail-in votes. But for Brenton Davis, the last batch of votes was where he really started to make some traction in the race. He won roughly 6,000 votes in the last ballot total, Titus winning just under 4,000. So Brenton Davis, as Jeff Bloodworth just told you before he left here, has officially started to gain some ground. Now, whether that stands, whether that continues, that remains to be seen. But again, the question that we have tonight, would the lead for Titus be able to stand, especially considering everything that's going on with the mail-in ballots, with the ballots in the rest of the county and things of that nature? Now, when I read off the townships, number of townships that had already sent in their mail-in ballots, or rather their election day ballots, I should say, those townships had varied. There were townships that were more in the rural parts of the area, Waterford Township, Washington Township. There was one from Albion as well in Northeast. The suburbs, though, also had some townships that had sent in their ballots. So Mill Creek Township, Summit Township, they had sent in ballots. So again, I want to reiterate here as we move along, it's important to know that these results now are both election day results and some mail-in ballots as well. So want to make sure that we have that under consideration when we take these totals and tallies. Let me see to make sure that I don't have anything going on that requires me not to have control of this here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just for a second, I'm going to wait to see if Alex is good with all the graphics, and then we will move on here. But we have one more graphic that we have to do for the big show here at 10 o'clock. I apologize. I'm kind of murmuring right now. I'm just trying to get some results back in. I'm trying to make sure that we have all of our bases covered here as we move forward. It looks like Lisa Adams is on Facebook right now doing a live hit with Jim Wirtz, the chair of the Erie County Democratic Party. Important to note, for those of you who did not watch the start of the 10 o'clock newscast, or for those of you who are watching our stream but came on late, Brenton Davis spoke with Ethan Kibbe at 10 o'clock tonight. Tyler Titus did not speak with Lisa Adams. It was Jim Wirtz who spoke with Lisa. Now, that's not a good or a bad thing. It's just signifying that, you know, as we get into the late coverage, we will be keeping an eye on which candidates speak, how they speak, and exactly what their confidence level is as they move forward throughout the night. Jeff Bloodworth, when he was here, was talking about, and you heard him say, cautious optimism from Brenton Davis. Nothing significant, nothing gung-ho as if I guarantee you I'm going to win. You really never see a candidate do that. But Davis, again, somewhat confident, cautiously optimistic that he will come away with a victory tonight. Tyler Titus's camp also saying that they're cautiously optimistic. They expected the results to come in the way they are right now, and they say they know it's going to be close. So I think regardless of what camp you're in, both camps at least saying in the camera that the race is going to be tight, and that's what we expected coming into tonight. Let's go ahead and see if we have any other videos here right now. We do. Our Lisa Adams is on Facebook now. She is talking, I think, with Jim Wirtz on Facebook, and she is. So let's go ahead and go to Facebook now. Lisa Adams is talking with Jim Wirtz, the chair of the Erie County Democratic Party, as the results continue to come in. Let's hear where things stand in the Titus camp.
Well, good evening from Pier 6. This is where the Titus campaign is going to be watching the returns of a lot of the other Erie Dems here as well for the big party. I've got my mask on now because I have to be kind of close to Jim Wirtz, Democratic Party chair. So are you disappointed in the turnout? I mean, obviously turnout is key in the county executive race, but in some of the other races as well.
Well, I think we anticipated a bit higher turnout than what we saw today, but part of that was due to the weather, and I also think that low turnout isn't necessarily a disadvantage when we have such a high proportion of those mail ballots to count either. So there's a bit of a strategic math going on here as we wait to see what the in-person vote looked like and get a real sense of what that total day of turnout actually was.
Yeah, so we're doing a little bit of analysis in the dark here because we don't have all the data yet. We do know Democrats asked for mail-in ballots at a 4-to-1 margin, but the margin coming out of that first drop of 15,000 that were counted today was more like 3-to-1. Did Titus need to do better than that with those mail-ins to pull off the win?
No, 3-to-1 is where we expected to be and where we thought we would be based on the ballots that were coming back in. We have a good sense of who those voters are and where they go. And so the anticipation always was 3-to-1. It was just a question of how many ballots would come in over time. And so we sat near 20,000 mail ballots returned, and there's still 4,000 more to be counted, and we expect that trend to continue in our favor.
All right, so this is also kind of a guesstimate type of a thing, but I mean, does Titus need all the Democratic votes to win this thing? If some Democrats in Erie are just not progressive enough to elect the first trans county exec, is that going to hurt him?
Look, I think there are always some registered Democrats in this county that cross over and vote in these kind of executive and certainly in statewide and federal elections. So we factor that in. I don't think you ever need all of the Democrats in order to be successful in these races. It's a question of proportionality wherever you go, and I think we'll see Tyler pick up some Republican votes along the way as well. So again, it comes down to that turnout at the end of the day, and that's the X factor that we're all waiting for as the county continues to process those voting machines.
You know, you've really tried to get some younger people involved in Democratic politics. So obviously Titus has won the school board race 2 times, so this is the 3rd time out for Titus seeking election. But you have some other fresh faces kind of moving in. How pleased are you with some school board candidates and some city council candidates so far?
I'm incredibly hopeful and optimistic about their prospects as elected officials. We saw all of our Democratic candidates in the school board race win. All of our Democratic candidates on city council are winning by a 2-to-1 margin over the Republican candidates, and I think you're going to see a lot of fresh faces on both of those boards, on both city council and our Erie School Board, and I think they bring a lot of vision, a lot of optimism, and a lot of hope to the future of their organizations.
All right, last question. Titus is kind of holed up somewhere with his campaign folks watching this come in?
Yeah, we're monitoring things closely. We still have people reporting numbers into us from the county, so we have a good sense of the direction we're heading and where we might end up, and we continue to be cautiously optimistic about how things are going to turn out tonight.
All right, I'm sure we'll hear from you a little bit later. Hopefully we'll be hearing from the candidates themselves. Tyler Titus seeking the job that's been held for the last 8 years by County Executive Kathy Dahlkemper. I'll be keeping tabs on this race, and we'll see you live at 11 on Erie News Now.
All right, thank you, Lisa. As you continue to hear the words coming out of the Titus camp is cautiously optimistic. I think everyone at this point fairly cautious, waiting to see exactly what will come in from county results. As the video was playing for Lisa, I was going over to Doug Rogers to ask if there were any results coming in. Sometimes I ask Doug for too much. He's an aficionado. He's an extraordinaire. He does everything right. And he told me that there hopefully will be some coming in soon. So we're trying to see if we can get some more results come in here as we continue along with our coverage, as we are getting very, very close now to the 10:30 p.m. hour. And as we get closer to the end of the night, there are a couple of factors in play. Factor number one is as follows, is late night. And what I mean by that is the poll workers, the people who are counting the votes. Those are the people who are going to have to eventually get some sleep. They've been at the County Board of Elections forever. And so it's not like you can just have some sort of a all-nighter party. You can only have so much pizza before you eventually have to go to sleep. So whether that's midnight, 1 a.m., there's going to have to be a break. And if there is no such thing, one second. Okay. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Sorry, Jameson Hicksonbaugh giving me a quick update here on what Alex is doing, our producer, our man who has been behind the scenes working everything incredibly well. But again, as we look at these results here, if the margin is this close as we move forward throughout the evening, it's going to be very difficult to make a call tonight. We don't expect either of these two candidates to concede, especially with how close the race is and how close it's going to be. But as we move forward here in the race, it's going to be important to know, specifically for the county executive race, that we may not get a call tonight. Remember, Lisa Adams was saying a little bit earlier in the day that when she talked to Doug Smith, the clerk of elections, she thought it could be possible, according to what Smith said, that the race could get called tonight. With how slow the vote is coming in, and I'm no expert, right now it's difficult to say that by midnight, 1 a.m., the race will be called. So we'll have to see exactly how long that the election counters count the votes before they're sent home for the evening. As you take a look again at those numbers, we'll go ahead and blow them up for you one more time. The numbers have been there in essence since 9:57, so we've had no new data in 25 minutes. Tyler Titus, 17,054. And there you go, the Erie County Sheriff's race as well. Chris Campanelli at 69%, Brian Schenk at 31%. So there's the Republican ticket as well for those two. But no new data since 9:57 p.m. as we stand right now. A pretty critical point in this election right now as the gaps are tightening. Campanelli's gap much more than Tyler Titus's gap. But those are the two races we're looking at here right now. We're going to bring in Jameson Hicksonbaugh in just a second. All right, thank you, Alex. I've been told that I can take over the graphics, which is kind of cool. So let's go ahead and bring up Crawford County because we are looking at a mayor race, I believe.
Mayor race, yep.
Meadville mayor, correct? Meadville City mayor race for Jameson Hicksonbaugh. So Jameson's going to join us here in a second. And as you take a look at this is a very interesting race, Jameson, because, and we'll talk to you in just a second, but right now the write-in has the lead.
Yeah, the write-in does have the lead right now. I believe last I checked that this could have changed. It's kind of been changing every couple of minutes. They had 6 of 9 precincts that were in so far. So
67, yeah, that's about right. 67%.
Okay, about 67%. The interesting thing, they were expecting this to take a couple of days. We still have some time to see if that is going to change, but as of right now, as you can see from those numbers, yeah, the write-in candidate, who is Ms. Hans, is ahead of Jamie Kinder right now. So, yeah, it's been an interesting race to cover. It'll definitely be a historic one, too, because whoever wins this, regardless, they're going to be the first female mayor of Meadville. So that's going to be interesting to see how this all kind of pans out overnight and over the next couple of days when everything kind of settles in.
Yeah, should be interesting. The Crawford County man over here, Jameson Hicksonbaugh, moving his way. He really has moved all over the last couple of weeks with economic hardship stuff with Crawford and Warren County. And we're getting ready. We're about 30 seconds away from going live on Erie News Now at 10. So we're going to stand by. We're going to be live on the air and online simultaneously. It's pretty cool. Check it out. Give me 1 second. We'll be live with Jameson in just a second.
Sounds good. Thanks, Isaac. Another name wasn't on there. It's Marcy Kantz for the other candidate.
Marcy Kantz, okay. Hi, Haley. Good evening. Yeah, it's a pretty close race right now, something you don't normally see, Jameson, as we go to the results. Right now, it's the write-in candidate, Marcy Kantz, 57% of the vote over Jamie Kinder, the Democrat. Right now, 67% of the votes are reporting. And Jameson, as you were talking to me beforehand, this is a historic election no matter who wins.
Yeah, it really is, Isaac. Now, both candidates are political newcomers. This is their first time running around. They're also both business owners. But regardless of who wins, whoever does win is going to, in fact, be the first female mayor of Meadville. So that's really going to be interesting to see how this all pans out. But I do want to give you a little bit of background about both candidates. And we'll start off with Democratic candidate Jamie Kinder. She spent the night watching the votes come in at Firehouse Tap and Grill, and she secured the Democratic nomination when she defeated incumbent Mayor Leroy Stearns back in May. So the co-owner of Evolution Printing Services, that's where she owns, she says her top priority, if elected, is to take an inclusive approach towards addressing Meadville's issues. Now, meanwhile, the write-in candidate, Marcy Kantz, she spent the night tonight watching numbers come in at Julian's Bar and Grill, and the co-owner of Keystone Strength and Keystone Kids decided to run as a write-in candidate to offer Meadville residents another choice for mayor. Now, her top priority will be to balance Meadville's budget while avoiding another deficit. So you got two different candidates kind of running for this position. I was told that it was just supposed to take a couple of days for all these write-ins to be counted, but you can see they're kind of going through them pretty quickly. We got 67% of those votes in, so whether it ends by the end of the night, we're going to be following it and definitely be the very latest as that develops, Isaac.
How about it? Crawford County almost going faster than Erie County. We'll see how that develops, Jameson. Thank you again.
Absolutely.
He's part of our election team. More election coverage on Erie News Now at 10 when we come back. All right,
thank you,
Isaac.
Isaac.
Talk for a second more?
Sure, yeah.
Sit down on the alert desk.
Sit on the alert desk.
Because we're also alive.
You've been going at it all day, man.
I'll tell you what, man. You know, this is a very interesting spot because it's very glorifying, but at the same time, it's one of those things where you look up and things change in a jiffy.
Yeah,
so
for sure. They gave you the gift of gab, though, Isaac. So
it's debatable. Sometimes my wife tells me I talk too much.
Oh yeah, you'll have that.
Anyway, let's go ahead and look back at this race here, Jameson, for the Meadville mayor. Again, a historic election. And as we look at 67% of the precincts reporting, you look at the vote total, it's about, 1,530, something like that.
Roughly.
So you're going to have, 2,200, 2,300 votes. Is that about where the Meadville leadership expected the vote total to be?
Yeah, they kind of expected it to be a low turnout this year. I talked to the election director, the board of the director, and he did tell me that it was kind of slow throughout the day. And it's kind of what they expected, just with historically what this election is. So, but it is an important race either way. You're talking about the top elected position for Meadville.
Yeah.
So they, whether there's disappointment with the numbers, kind of remains to be seen.
Now, you were talking earlier when you did Facebook Live. You put it pretty much out there. You said Meadville doesn't expect, Crawford County expects basically no results back. They don't expect to determine a winner for a long time. Was there a reason why that was the case?
No specific reason. I know it just takes longer for sometimes those have to be hand delivered.
Sure.
So, and honestly, they want to take their time with those write-in ballots just to make sure that they're 100% accurate and just to build out the public's trust. So they do kind of take their time with it. They're not in a rush to get those numbers out there. So it usually does take sometimes it takes over a week or so. So,
yeah. As we saw last year, significant long waits for this election results to come in. Any other races that in Crawford County you think is important to keep your eye out on?
That's the main one that I was kind of been following tonight. There's a couple other different positions. I know some school board members are up. Some of the council members are also up. That's kind of another big one out there.
Yeah, as we take you through the races here, actually some new information coming in for Crawford County. Conneaut School District, Republican Ryan Klink leading there in Region 1. Region number 2, Dorothy Lookock, 42% to John Berman's 83%. Meadville City. Actually, we just got new numbers, Jameson. Let's take a look at these.
Let's take a look.
New numbers from the Meadville City Mayor. You see the lead has relatively stayed the same. I don't know what it was compared to just a couple minutes ago, but over 1,000 votes for write-in, Marcy Kantz and Jamie Kinder at 803 votes. So it's shrunk a little bit. It looks like the lead's roughly 207 votes.
Yeah.
But now
it looks like they're reporting everything right now. I would have to double check on that. So yeah, we'll have to see if this is the official results.
But again, Marcy at the moment doing very well as a write-in candidate. And again, that's not often that you see that write-in at the top of the ticket and at the top of the leaderboard if you will, as we move through Meadville. One more thing we want to look at, too, Meadville City Council, James Roja, Nancy Mingola, Bitter right now running dead even, Gretchen Myers and Jack Harkless. Jamison, appreciate your coverage, man. You and Isley were the Gophers today, running out to Warren and Crawford County. So.
That's all right. I love Crawford County, so it's good to go out there. Yeah, it's my new home.
You have to buy a house out there or something.
I'll have to check it out. It might not be a bad idea. It's a great area.
All right, good stuff, man.
All right, thanks, Isaac.
Appreciate it. We'll get you in a second. Make sure you don't take the mic with you. I don't want you to. I don't want you to trip on yourself. That's
looking out, man.
Listen, it's late in the night. We all, thanks, man. We all are tired in our own self. Okay, looking at the results right now, I am so mincing words, it's not even funny. But anyway, we're happy to be with you here for Erie News Now, coverage at the Alert Desk as we look at some races from Crawford County. We are anxiously awaiting results from Erie County. I continue to refresh my page at will to see if the races have updated for the Erie County Executive. They have not. Tyler Titus, 58%, Brenton Davis at 42%. So as the races have not updated, the Facebook Lives, though, have updated. We continue to get updates from our reporters that are on location, including Lisa Adams with Tyler Titus, Ethan Kibbe with Brenton Davis, Kara Coleman with Chris Campanelli, and Brian Shank being bombarded by John Last tonight. We also have reporters out all over the Warren County area. That includes Isley Gooden, who's in Warren County looking at the polls. We also have Jamison that we just talked to, who's in Crawford County. A lot of stuff going on here as we continue to roll along here on Erie News Now. There is another race I do want to quickly look at here as we move through Erie County Council. This is another race that's been heavily contested so far. You can see Chuck Nelson just behind Liz Allen at 20 to 22%. It's about a 900 vote lead right now for Liz Allen. Now, I show you this because as we go to Facebook, Lisa Adams is with Chuck Nelson. He's looking to continue along and get that city council win. It looks like he's just about there. Lisa Adams is with Chuck Nelson as he vies for that spot in city council.
Hi, this is Lisa Adams, and I'm at Pier 6. My official duty is to be following the Tyler Titus campaign, but there's a lot of other Democrats here who are pretty happy tonight, including Chuck Nelson, who has been running for Erie City Council. So with the numbers coming in so far, it looks like you're going to get a seat on council?
Yeah. Right now I'm in second place, and with plenty of margin over the fifth place challenger, so we're good. We're feeling confident about it and celebrating.
You have made a run for council twice now. What do you think was the formula to have this success on election night and with the mail-in ballots this time around?
I'll tell you, so much of it's ballot position. When you look at the stats of our city over the last 30 years, if you're below number 6 on the ballot, it's a waste of time. So last time I was number 11 on the ballot, and this time I was number 5, and that's so much of the difference. It's important that people stay informed on these elections because we're passing over some decent candidates on these ballot position issues as people not reading the press on and going 2 years longer of it got a little more visibility on it, and I was proud of the campaign and a lot of the people that I was able to meet that went on to help.
So you didn't grow up in Erie, but you've lived here for a long time, and you work in ministry here, really care about the downtown and people who are downtown. So what do you hope to accomplish as a city council person?
Yeah, you're not supposed to tell people I didn't grow up in Erie. I was born in Youngstown and grew up in Boston. So I have this picture of like a Rust Belt failing city and a city of great success, and I've been watching Erie make Youngstown decisions in a lot of scenarios. I've been here 15 years. I pastor a church that's primarily homeless people and a lot of college kids, and we've been really blessed to see a community build that transcends race, transcends class, and really brings people together. And I think I can bring that to City Council. I mean, this is a place where we share an identity of being Erieites, and that's something we need to center around.
Erie Dems have been really energized under Jim Wirtz's leadership to try to get some new people to get involved in the party and to run. So does it look like we're going to see some other new faces on City Council as well?
So I'm good for the next 4 years. If you're a new face looking to run and you want to run for City Council next year, hit me up. We'll work with you immediately. Let's make sure you understand the job description. Let's make sure you understand the responsibilities. This isn't just a position or title for you, but that you have some ideas coming to the table, and let's work together. I'll go knock on doors for you in 2 years if you're solid. But we'd love to get some new faces. Currently, there's room for new faces. That's it.
All right. Well, it's great talking to you, Chuck. And again, obviously all the numbers are not in yet, but right now Chuck is holding the second position as far as a vote getter here for the city council race. We wish you the best as the rest of the numbers come in, and we'll stay on top of all the numbers here on Erie News Now.
Thanks.
All right, we'll see you coming up at 11 o'clock. I'll continue to follow the Tyler Titus race, which is too close to call as the vote starts to come in from the county and from the in-person vote today. We'll see what the lead is looking like coming up tonight at 11.
Yes, we will, Lisa. And as we go back to that Erie City Council race, again, the top four were able to make it onto a seat on the council. So as we continue to look here at our live leaderboard, I don't want to call it leaderboard, it's more like a live results. It's not the Olympics, it's the election. Live results coming in here. Chuck Nelson seemingly in firm control of a chance for a seat, a 3,000 vote lead on Greg Brown, who is currently at the bottom there in fifth, with the Republican at 10% thus far. Let's see if we can go back here as we bring you back in our election alert desk zone. Isaac Petcash joining you here on our live election coverage. Again, thanks for joining us. We want to welcome in those who are watching at the Tyler Titus camp. Also, those of you who are watching at the Brenton Davis camp. Our Ethan Kibbe and Lisa Adams are there covering it all for you as we move on here. Hold on just 1 second. I am getting information that we will have some new data coming right now in the county executive race. Stand by. Let's give that to you right now. New votes coming in, and look how close the race is. Brenton Davis has closed the gap significantly, as there is just now a 1,000 vote difference separating Tyler Titus and Brenton Davis. Let's get the numbers for you here. Tyler Titus, 51% of the vote, 22,455 votes for Tyler Titus. Brenton Davis now at 21,436 votes. He has closed the gap. So, based on quick math, Tyler Titus in that last batch of votes picks up 4,500. Brenton Davis picks up more than 9,000 votes. So Davis, like he did in the last batch of votes, outpacing Titus 2-1. So Davis right now inching closer, although Titus is still ahead. Tyler Titus still with the lead, and again, 44,000 total votes coming in. That top right corner number of 100% is not correct. There's still some vote left to come in. Doug Rogers is telling me, from the reliability that he is, right now 100 of the 149 precincts are reporting. So we get new data on average about every half hour. That's the way it's been going here in Erie County. There are 49 precincts left to report, and that is how close it is. So if any of you thought that there would be a concession or a winner declared even by 11 o'clock, it's not looking likely. I'm not saying it won't happen tonight, but with a race that close, we are not going to have a call made even close to 10:30 or 11 o'clock. Okay, new numbers in the Erie County Sheriff's race. This is the other race that we've been looking at, and take a look at this. New numbers coming in for Chris Campanelli and Brian Shank. Campanelli's lead has remained sizable. He now has 28,073 votes. Brian Shank at 16,405. Chris Campanelli in that new batch of votes picks up 7,400, and Brian Shank picks up 7,200. So roughly the same amount of votes there for both Campanelli and Shank. The difference really doesn't make up much for the Republican nominee for the Erie County Sheriff's Department as the new numbers are coming in. Let's go ahead and go to the races for Erie County Council now. As we look at those, the gap continues to close for there. This is for Erie County Clerk of Records. Before we get to the County Council, you see Aubrey Haggerty Haynes, 56% to 44% for Edward DiMatteo, 24 to 18,000 votes. Now let's get to the Erie County Council races. In the 4th District, Jim Winarski, the Democrat, 72% over Timothy Goskomski, 28. 3,800 votes for Winarski, 1,539 votes for Timothy Goskomski. As we look at those results coming in, again, there is not 100% reporting, but the numbers that you want to look at are the numbers to the right in the white box and below the white box in the total number of votes. In the 6th District for Erie County Council, we have a change in the lead. Samuel Charles Bale has taken the lead on Lydia Lathe. Lathe had about an 8-point lead on Charles Bale the last time we checked. That has changed. Samuel Charles Bale with 2,400 votes, Lydia Lathe just a tad bit over 1,800. The difference right there, about 600 votes. Continuing to move along, Erie City Council, the new numbers coming in. You see Liz Allen firmly at the top. She will likely earn another term with County Council. Chuck Nelson drops a slight bit, but still with 7,600 votes, seemingly in a position, along with Maurice Motroop and Jasmine Flores, to win seats on Erie County Council. Greg Brown has gained some, but not much, as we look right now. New numbers in as well in the Mill Creek Township Supervisor race. Kim Clear still has the lead, but it is close. Just over 6,000 votes for Clear, 4,400 votes for Kirk McCaskill, the Republican challenger, rather. It's a 16-point difference as we see it right now. Doug Rogers is looking at me. What do you got, Doug?
Ethan is on Facebook with Brenton Davis. He just surged. There's a 1,019 vote difference in that race.
Yep, we just saw that right now. And Doug, you said you said what, 100 of the 149 precincts reporting?
Yeah, 100 of 149. So you got those other 49 as well as what looks like 4,000 or 5,000 mail-in ballots that they still have to count.
Okay, so still thousands of ballots left out. As Doug, you might have overheard him say, 49 precincts still left to report, plus another 5,000 mail-in ballots that are going to be counted, and those mail-in ballots are going to skew heavily Democratic, we expect. So Brenton Davis, although closing the gap, still with some room to make up right now. So now that Brenton Davis has surged in the county race, Ethan Kibbe is with him live on Facebook. I'm going to see if I can get him in just a second. But again, I'm going to pull up these numbers for you here just to show exactly how close it is. In the last 2 batches of votes, Brenton Davis has accumulated just under 15,000. Tyler Titus has accumulated just under 9. So Davis has made up about 6,000 votes. Makes sense because Titus had about a 7,000 vote lead after that first batch of votes came in from mail-in ballots. So again, the county executive race is tightening up. All right, we are going out now to Ethan Kibbe live on Facebook. He just talked with Brenton Davis at the 10 o'clock newscast. That was before this batch of results came in. Here he is with Davis on his thoughts of that new result pool.
And then end up growing a gap.
Maybe. Hold on one second.
And then end up.
Let me refresh really quickly here. I want to make sure we get the full video up. Hold on.
At Summit Plaza with the.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Ethan Kibbe here. We're at Summit Plaza with the Davis campaign, and Brenton, you're now within about 1,000 votes. New data just out. But what's the vibe here right now?
I'd say it's close. You know, we knew it was going to be close this whole time. You know, it's in the hands of the voters, and we're just excited to see how this night plays out.
You've seen just how much this has tightened up. You know, when all those mail-in ballots dropped earlier, you were way back. Now you're just 1,000 votes back. Does that let off the nerves any, or are you still nervous here waiting for things to come in?
I mean, to me, we did our campaign to our plan, and, you know, this is historically kind of how the county executive race goes. So we're just going to hang in there and see what the voters decide.
What's your prediction here? Do you think that you'll just steadily keep climbing and then end up growing a gap here, or do you see ups and downs back and forth before our night is over?
I think there's just going to be a steady push to the finish, and hopefully at the end we'll be victorious.
Playing your cards close to the vest here.
Sure
Knock out your chickens before they hatch. That's the latest here from the Davis campaign. We'll have more Erie News Now at 11. Make sure to tune in then.
Yes, indeed. That's been the case from Brenton Davis all night. He has not really given much at all in terms of how he feels, although I do want to go to some breaking news right now. We are hearing, Doug, can you come back for 1 second? I just want to make sure that I have this right before we go here. It seems as if we're hearing that the race for Erie County Sheriff could be called for Chris Campanelli. We are not making that projection. We have not called the race ourselves. But we are hearing that the race could be called for the Erie County Sheriff's race for Chris Campanelli. Now, let me go ahead and see. Kara Coleman, it sounds like, is live right now with Chris Campanelli. I want to just check to see if we have any sort of updates from Facebook as we continue along here throughout the night. So, again, you just heard from Brenton Davis. Currently, he is closing the gap on Tyler Titus, but I want to make sure that if we get a call here that we have that, and that we have some sort of breaking news report to give to you, because again, this is critical. You see the results right now. Campanelli, as we said, really gained on Brian Shank. Now it's 63 to 37%. So I think at this point in the game, if you're the Campanelli camp, clearly you're happy. Brian Shank not out of it yet, but a sizable deficit for him. I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can get anything here when it comes to the race. All right, so right now we don't have anything as of now. We currently do not have any live shot here as of now. But again, that's breaking news coming into our newsroom that there's the potential that the race between Chris Campanelli and Brian Shank could soon be called for Campanelli. So I'm going to go ahead and check Kara Coleman for us. Hey, John Stalin.
You want a weather update? You want a break?
Yeah, come on the set. Come on the set.
I'm just trying to help you out.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. John Stalin, the absolutely wonderful soul that he is. Yeah, you do. Here, let me get you a mic. John Stalin, everybody. So there's other stuff happening tonight.
I came in because you have been talking for 15 hours, and I felt bad for you.
Well,
I walked
thanks.
by the office, and I'm like, he's still talking.
The pipes are okay for now. Yeah, so as we continue in this election night, the weather has not been too grand. Now Scott McDowell, our news director, is looking at me. Hold on, stand by.
Sure,
Yes.
Kara Coleman is saying that the Campanelli race has been called at Campanelli headquarters.
Okay, breaking news on the air. Scott McDowell, our news director, telling me that Kara Coleman has announced that at the Campanelli headquarters, the race for Erie County Sheriff has been called for Chris Campanelli. And if that is the case, big development there. So we'll keep an eye on that in just a second. But John Stalin, snow happening tonight, right?
Yeah, we still have a winter weather advisory that's in effect through tomorrow morning. Places north of 90, as you know, the traditional areas closer to the lake. Lake's 58 degrees, so you're going to see a little bit more rain. It's going to be a cold rain, I'll tell you that. And then inland, we're going to have colder temperatures, low to mid-30s. And we could see some slick roadways tomorrow morning. A couple of inches accumulation. It's hard to tell with the rain mixed in with it. But nonetheless, if the temperatures do dip, then we can have a very treacherous morning commute.
Was it somewhat surprising that we had snow today? I know it wasn't supposed to come until later in the week, apparently.
I'm not sure what you were watching. We were fully aware that it was going to
That's
snow.
why I'm not a weatherman and you are.
And not to correct you, but we did say Tuesday night, Wednesday into Thursday. So it's Tuesday night and it's happening. You know, we've been tracking it for a while. A lot of the models were suggesting snow this week. But when you get lake effect, and then when you get a winter weather advisory, that was a little surprising to us, to be honest with you. But things just set up with lake effect sometimes, and they kind of gets crazy. So it's not a strong lake effect event. It's not a big event. Don't go out and get French toast weather. Type things, you know, eggs, bread, or anything. But nonetheless, it's the first of the season. So, you know, tomorrow when you go to work, you're like, okay, let me call the tire place, get new tires. Let me go get that. Where's that snow brush? You know, where's that other glove that I can't find? You know, so it's just a reminder. So it's not horrible, but it could be a little treacherous in the morning.
I think it's amazing how we started the month of October with summer-like temperatures, and now we're getting into snow just a couple of weeks later. I mean, I know that's what we're normally used to, but I feel like we started the month up here and we ended down here.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Mother Nature corrects itself. It's like the stock market, you know, it corrects itself. And the thing about it is we had the second warmest October on record. We're starting out very cool here. We had a lot of rain, almost 2 inches above in October, and now we're starting with a little bit of snow. We just got to trace officially, but we do average 9.5 inches of snow in November, so eventually it has to come sometime, right?
Eventually.
Eventually. So I know a lot of folks, I think, November 27th is the beginning of hunting season, so I know that's when you want the snow. So we're going to try to hold off some of this for that day for the hunters.
I got some family members that would be happy with that news. They want snow as soon as possible, especially with the extended hunting season and how long that goes and how excited people get. I hear the man, John.
Oh, people get fed.
Oh, yeah.
Really. So anyway, I'm on at 11 o'clock, so watch if you want full details and colorful pictures behind me, because that's what makes all of this worthwhile.
It's not just you. It's me
Oh
too.
no, there's a lot. This has a lot to do with it.
Oh, I know. I gotta have lights. I gotta have all kinds of streamers. This in the
Just
background.
kidding. No, you did a good job. I mean, you talked forever. I heard you every time I went in the hallway. I felt bad, so that's why I figured I'd come in and help you out.
Well, hey, listen, you are a big help. You're the man.
Now you're going to play her?
We are. We're going live to Kara Coleman because Chris Campanelli has just declared victory in the Erie County Sheriff's race. Let's hear from Kara.
Hey there, we do have some breaking election news from Calamari's in town. Erie. We have been covering the Chris Campanelli. His campaign has just declared victory in this one. They say basically they have enough of a lead for their Republican.
All right, so I apologize there. The volume was not coming through with all of Kara's video. However, you get the gist of it. Looking at this race, Chris Campanelli declaring victory in the Erie County Sheriff's race. Now, that doesn't mean the race has been called, but what it does mean is that Campanelli believes that he has won the race, that he has enough votes that he will not be caught by Brian Shank, the Republican. So we will see if we can hear from the Shank camp. John Last is down with Brian Shank, but Kara Coleman with Chris Campanelli. That is the first major news of the night. So, if this is indeed the race, we have our first major election win in Erie County. We were talking about the sheriff's race in addition to the county executive race. That is indeed a gigantic development if that is true the case. So we will keep an eye on it. We'll see if we officially call it. If we do call it, what you're going to see down here on this is a check mark next to Campanelli's name. That's how you'll know that we have officially called the race for Chris Campanelli for the Erie County Sheriff. So as we get ready to go on the air at 11 o'clock, potentially some breaking news that's good for Democrats in the sheriff's race, but where the county executive race stands right now, not necessarily the news that you would want to hear in the Democratic category. Here's the numbers again for Titus and Bretton Davis. It's so close, and Davis has made up about 6 of the 7,000 votes that he was behind after the mail-in ballots came just a few hours ago. Here is some new information, folks, I want to give to you from Doug Rogers. He has been the absolute best tonight. I cannot thank him enough for the work that he's doing, and he deserves about a 7-week break after this. Here is the summary for mail-in ballots right now. This is according to Doug Smith. He's the county clerk of elections. I'm reading from my phone. The subject of the email, these are the remaining uncounted mail-in ballots after 8 p.m. So, here is what we're at right now. Doug even sent me this guy. You are awesome, Doug. He even sent me this on a piece of paper. Okay, now I can read from a piece of paper. All right, so as of right now, the county has canvassed about 15,300 out of a recorded 19,404 mail-in ballots, which means there are 4,104 ballots that will be canvassed tomorrow. Not tonight, tomorrow. As well as a quantity of about 250 ballots removed from the drop box at 8 p.m., meaning that 4,354 ballots will be processed tomorrow. These are mail-in ballots, not canvassed, processed tomorrow, which means we will have at least 4,300 votes that are not counted tonight. And these are mail-in ballots that will not be counted tonight. Now, here else is another piece of information as well. There are 2 specific districts that have not returned their memory cards which contain the results of the election. Erie District 5 through 8 and Springfield Township. So, here's what this means. This means that no more than 147 of the 149 districts will be counted. So there are 2 districts that will not be canvassed until tomorrow and 4,300 ballots that will not be canvassed and counted until tomorrow. So basically what this means is that there's still outstanding vote left out there. And the question now becomes, for the candidates, Tyler Titus and Bretton Davis, Will we see a victory tonight for either of these candidates with still about 4,500 votes left out there? The question is, how many votes are coming from Erie District 5 through 8? How many votes are coming from Springfield Township? And the 4,300 uncanvassed votes that we process tomorrow. So that's what the county executive candidates are going to have to look at. They're going to have to look at, and they're going to have to see, okay, is it possible if I'm behind? So if you're Tyler Titus or you're Brenton Davis, I look at the 43 to 4,500 ballots that are left out there. Is it possible for me to come back if I'm behind with the votes that are still left outstanding? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves tonight when we indeed get those results tomorrow morning. So that is the breaking news. 2 pieces of breaking news that we want to bring to you and that we've been talking about the last minute or so. Breaking news piece number 1, the Erie County Sheriff's race, at least in Chris Campanelli's camp, has been called. Not by us. We have not called the race, but Chris Campanelli, as Kara Coleman reported to you a minute ago, has declared victory in the sheriff's race. Brian Shank has not conceded. We have not heard that he's conceded. We have not called the race. But Chris Campanelli is declaring victory. Also, the other news as well, 4,300 ballots that are mail-in ballots for the Erie County executive race will not be counted tonight. And in addition, there are 2 districts that have not yet given their data of voting information to the county, and those 2 districts will be processed tomorrow. So the votes that we have to process tomorrow are going to be 2 districts and 4,300 mail-in ballots, which means there is no way that all of the votes can be counted tonight. That does not mean the race cannot be called, but what it does mean is that we still have thousands of outstanding ballots left. And I turn my chair now to Alex Popacek, who's going to give me some wise words of wisdom. Yes, sir.
I have no wise words of wisdom. I was just going to say we're about to be on with the 11, so I'm going to take over the graphics.
Okay, how long do you need to take them over for?
At least through the 8 block.
Okay.
And I'll give you a text when I'm clear.
How about this? Just put it back on the county executive race when I can take control.
Gotcha.
Awesome. All right, thank you, sir. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put up the county executive race one more time. This is where things stand right now. Tyler Titus with a 22,455 vote title. Brenton Davis just on his horse. He is so close. 1,019 votes is the difference. We're about to go on the air live for Erie News Now at 11, but I'm going to stay with you guys because if there's one thing that I've learned, every time I leave this chair to go somewhere else, something big happens. That's what I've learned. So I'm going to go ahead and stay here with you guys. I'm going to hopefully play some new Facebook Lives for you. Let's see if we have any on the computer here. I'll even show you what I'm doing. I'm refreshing the computer. This computer is going to hate me by the end of the night. I've quite literally been refreshing it every 30 seconds. So here's our news article. You can see all but two of the precincts will be counted tonight. 2 of them will not. And the 4,300 mail-in ballots will be counted. Let's see. Lisa Adams has a Facebook Live. It looks to be a Facebook Live, I think. And this is from Tyler Titus's camp. Let's see if this will play here for me. It's about a 4-minute video. Let's see if we can hear from Lisa and the latest from Tyler Titus's camp.
All they have to do is run those other ones.
He'll be back.
Well, hello there. I guess I'm live without realizing that I'm live. This is Lisa Adams, and I'm walking around here at Pier 6. Tyler Titus was in the house briefly, said hello to a few people, was with his campaign manager, Josh Rosenbaum. They stepped kind of back out the door into the snow, and I think they're powwowing and watching the numbers come in. So far, we have talked to Tyler about Tyler's campaign, about talking to him at the top of the newscast, but we're waiting to see.
Here really quickly, you heard Lisa Adams just talking a couple of things about what's going on, but we're getting to the top of the 11 o'clock newscast. So I actually want to see if we can go live out there at 11 o'clock like we did at 10 o'clock. Ethan Kibbe talking with Brenton Davis at 10. Jim Wirtz is who Lisa Adams talked with at 10 o'clock. We're going to go back out live to them both here and take Erie News Now at 11 in progress. I want to see, you want to see, I'm sure, what the candidates say. Will Tyler Titus speak is the question. Lisa Adams saying he kind of walked outside the door. We'll see if he comes back. We'll see if he speaks to Lisa at 11 o'clock. You can see right here Ethan Kibbe is getting ready as the cameraman focuses up on his face for Erie News Now at 11, and Lisa Adams, you can see here getting ready for Erie News Now at 11 as well. So as soon as we get to that newscast, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Tyler Titus, Brenton Davis, with Lisa Adams and Ethan Kibbe at 11 o'clock. We're also, because of the sheriff's race, we are going to take the sheriff's race for Kara Coleman and John Last as well. So we're going to start with Brenton Davis, and then we're going to go to Tyler Titus, and then we're going to go from that to the sheriff's race with Chris Campanelli, who has already declared victory, and Brian Shank. It will be very interesting to see, does Brian Shank concede? Does Chris Campanelli affirm that he's won? And in the Tyler Titus camp, Titus looks like he will be speaking to Lisa. How confident is he? And the question with Brenton Davis is, how confident is Brenton Davis now that that new batch of election results has come out? So, Erie News Now at 11 is about to start quite literally now. Let's go to Kara Coleman. She's live right now with Chris Campanelli. Hold on.
Just a few minutes ago, your campaign telling you they feel pretty confident in those numbers.
Yeah, the individuals came to me and they said it's a mathematical impossibility for my opponents to match the numbers we have, so we declared victory.
And how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty darn good at this moment. You know, 24 years ago, we stood here with a good friend of mine over there as deputy sheriffs when Bob Mursky won. It's bittersweet.
We were talking to Sheriff John Loomis, who's retiring, and he said he also celebrated victory right here at Calamari. So you're kind of carrying on that tradition.
You know, when something works, you don't fix it.
You've spent a lot of time in the sheriff's office. What do you hope to continue? What do you hope to perhaps adjust a little bit?
You know, I think we have to continue on the legacy of, you know, our office has always had honor and integrity. We're going to move that forward without question. I think, like I said earlier, you know, we have to work on some training issues and equipping our deputies a little better. But in the future, I think we're going to be fine.
Like any campaign, it can be tiring, it can be exhausting. You're going to sleep well tonight, do you think?
That's an understatement. That's an understatement.
Well, congratulations to you. Again, the Campanelli campaign, Mike and Emily declaring victory in this one, saying, you know, they feel pretty confident in those numbers as we get it, 100 of the 149 precincts in. We're going to stay here. We're going to watch those numbers continue to come in down here from Calamari's in downtown Erie.
Okay, so that's Kara Coleman reporting on Chris Campanelli. Let's go ahead and see if we can go to Brian Shank with John Last. What will Brian Shank say, if anything? John Last is reporting live from that race as we go to him in just a second. You can hear him getting ready.
We are at the Nostrovia Brewing Company in Harbor Creek, where Republican candidate for sheriff Brian Shank has gathered with his supporters. And Brian, we just heard from your opponent who said he's feeling pretty darn good, and it sounded like, I didn't hear exactly, that he may even be declaring victory. How do you feel tonight, and how do you feel about the race and what he just said?
Well, I didn't hear exactly what he said, so, you know, we're confident what we did. We stayed on target, we stayed on track, we ran a clean campaign, and, you know, it's up to the voters now. The numbers are still tallying up. You know, yeah, there's a little big gap there, but, you know, there's always that potential that that gap will close.
You've been monitoring results, not the official results, but results from the polls, and they've been looking pretty good, a lot of them that you've read off.
Yeah, we had a great support from the people actually going out to the polling sites, looking at the ticker tapes and shooting us pictures back. The numbers are very exciting coming south of here, so that's why we're not throwing in the towel until it's time to throw the towel in.
Very good. No concession here in Harbor Creek, and we'll be monitoring this.
Okay, so Brian Shank is not conceding. He has not conceded at all on the air. He says he wants every single vote to be counted and every single vote to be tallied. So Chris Campanelli declares victory. Brian Shank says, not so fast. We're going to let every vote be tallied. Now we move to the county executive race. Ethan Kibbe with Brenton Davis, who is closing the gap on Tyler Titus. Let's go to Ethan.
Mike and Emily, good evening. Yeah, something of a joyous scene right here at the Davis camp right now. Again, those results came in not too long ago, really tightening this race. We're joined by Brenton Davis. And Brenton, as you saw those results come in, you heard the cheers here go up. What's that do for your sense of excitement on the evening and as you try to be patient and wait for more results?
We're just going to humbly wait on the results. You know, the voters have spoken, and, you know, we're prepared to just be patient and see what those results are.
Obviously, we've still got several precincts that need to report, about 50 of them. There's those mail-in ballots out, too. Those you would expect to go blue. The precincts perhaps expected to go red. How nervous are you right now knowing that there's still back and forth to go in this thing?
I'm not nervous at all. We've put in the work. This has been a year of hard work, and I've got the best team that Erie County has ever put together for a county executive race, and I'm confident in that work, and I'll stand on that.
Excited confidence here at the Davis campaign. Still a long night ahead of us. Will we even know a winner by the time the night is over? Only time will tell. For now, though, Ethan Kibbe, Erie News Now.
Okay, so you hear from Brenton Davis, no victory speech, but he says, I'm not nervous at all. I'm confident in the results. I believe that our team is the best team ever assembled in Erie County. So we hear from Brenton Davis, and now for the first time this evening, since 6 o'clock, we hear from Tyler Titus, who's with Lisa Adams.
It's a little bit loud, that's for sure. Yeah, people cheering a couple of minutes ago when they saw that 51% to 49% for Tyler Titus. But we've all heard the expression, too close to call. This one is close right now, and the vote totals are not final. But Tyler Titus is joining me live now. Did you expect it to be this close? We talked earlier.
We knew it was going to come down to a close margin. Historically, this has always been a very close race. And so I just want to take this time, though, to thank everybody who went out in the rain, the sleet, and whatever, weather was happening today to come out to show their support. We are so grateful for every voter, for every volunteer, for every staffer on this, and we wouldn't be here in this spot without them.
What are you hearing from the County Board of Elections? Do you think you are going to have to wait until tomorrow morning because there are still votes to count?
Here's what we know is that there are still votes to count, and so it looks like we won't be able to really have a good result until tomorrow, yes.
Will you sleep at all tonight?
Absolutely not, no. No, I will not.
All right, well, thanks for coming and talking with us again. Titus thanking his supporters tonight, but waiting until tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have a result in this election. Live at Pier 6, Lisa Adams, Erie News Now.
Okay, folks, back with you at the alert desk. That's a lot of information to process, a lot of things that you need to digest here with those 4 live shots. So let's go ahead and break them down for you right now. We'll start with the most recent one, Tyler Titus. Here's the summary from everything that we've heard so far in these results. Tyler Titus saying, listen, let's pump the brakes. It's a close race, too close to call, in essence, from what we can see right now. And the key for us tonight is just keep waiting it out. He, though, does not expect, Tyler Titus, the result to be called tonight. He talked about those mail-in ballots. We talked about them. 4,300 of them that cannot be canvassed until tomorrow morning. There are also 2 precincts that have still yet to be reported that will not be reported until tomorrow. So, in the Tyler Titus camp, cautiously optimistic. He knew it was going to come down to the wire, and he doesn't expect results until tomorrow.
New results coming in for Erie County. It looks like Davis is going to be up of roughly about 4,600 votes at this point.
Okay, Doug Rogers has just given me some information, folks. This is breaking information. This is new results. New results are going to be coming in from Erie, and it looks like Brenton Davis will be taking the lead for Erie County Executive. I cannot show the results right now on the screen because Alex is taking control of them in the producer bay, understandably so. However, as it stands right now, These new results are about to be coming in. We'll try to show them to you here on the screen, but from what I am hearing, Bretton Davis is about to take the lead in the Erie County executive race. A new batch of results coming in. Stand by. I'm going to talk to Alex to see if I can get some sort of a control here back in the next 30 seconds. Okay, folks, I am not able right now to take control of the graphics. I am trying to see if I can get them up as soon as possible, but we have the live breaking new numbers that I want to get to you here. You know what I'm going to do? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and try to blow this screen up here to see if you can see those results. So this is going to look a little funky. We're going to get the results on the screen as they come in. But take a look at this. New numbers coming in for the Erie County executive race. I'm going to point to them, and you can see there's a change in the leaderboard. Bretton Davis has taken the lead. The Republican nominee for the Erie County executive has taken the lead. He now has 32,707 votes. Tyler Titus, 28,132 votes. Bretton Davis, in that last vote count, picks up 11,300 votes. Tyler Titus picks up 5,700 votes. So Bretton Davis, in the last 3 vote dumps, has picked up a total of over 26,000 votes. Tyler Titus has picked up 15,000. So Bretton Davis now has the lead in the Erie County executive race. This is a change. Again, as we've been saying, Titus had led all the way until now. The numbers were 51-49 Titus before this. They are now 54-46 Davis. We also have new information in the Erie County Sheriff's race. And take a look. Chris Campanelli has declared victory, but the race is tightened. Chris Campanelli right now with 59% of the vote, 36,112, 25,486 for Shank. Now, again, not necessarily a guarantee that Shank will come back in this race, but Brian Shank picking up 9,000 votes in this last batch, whereas Chris Campanelli picks up about 7,900. So not much of a change, but Shank does gain some new numbers here, as you can see on our live election coverage. I want to be able to get these numbers up to you on the screen. I want to make it easier so that you don't have to squint your eyes and you can actually see these in better form. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can take control. Hold on one second. I'm going to go ahead and talk to Alex, the producer here, hopefully on Unity. I want to see if I can quickly take control of these graphics here. Yeah, one moment here. I'm just going to go ahead and see if I can take control of these graphics because, again, these are new numbers. So these are significant, and I want to make sure I get them to you. So hold on one moment. Okay, folks, I have been given the all clear to take control of the new graphics for our updates. So here we go. This is what we're looking at right now. Brenton Davis has the lead. He has taken the lead in the Erie County executive race, 54% to 46%. As we were talking about, now we're showing it live, blowing up in the picture. Brenton Davis picked up about 11,300 votes in that last vote drop. That brought him to 54%, 32,000 total. Tyler Titus picks up just under 6,000 votes. So he has now 28,132. Remember, County Executive Kathy Dahlkemper won re-election 2 years ago with just over 30,000 votes. But Davis has surpassed that, and Davis now has the lead in the county executive race. The lead in the county sheriff's race, as you can see, has tightened, but not that much. Chris Campanelli's still about a 10,700 vote lead on Brian Shank, the Democrat 59%, the Republican at 41. Again, as we've mentioned, we have not called this race, but Chris Campanelli has declared victory. Brian Shank, though, has not conceded. So this race remains still too close to call. And you see the numbers there. Campanelli still with a sizable lead, but this race has not yet been called, so there's no guaranteed winner in the Erie County Sheriff's race. Some other news and notes to get to you. When it comes to races in Erie County, they're important. The Erie County Clerk of Records, take a look. Aubria Haggerty Haynes, 52%, 30,859 votes, 28,984 for Edward DiMatteo. This race is tightening, very much so. It has gotten razor thin when it comes to the Clerk of Records. Here's the latest in the Erie County Council for the 4th District. Jim Winarski maintains his sizable lead. He has 69% of the votes with 4,911. Timothy Gosmosky with 31%, 2,170. Let's continue to move on. Erie County Council in the 6th District. Samuel Charles Bale remains in front over Lydia Lath. In fact, he's nearly doubled the lead. 5,200 votes for Charles Bale, 2,700 for Lydia Lath. That equivocates to about a 32-point lead for Samuel Charles Bale. Let's go to Mill Creek Township. In the race for Mill Creek Township Supervisor, it continues to get very tight. Kim Clear maintains about a 10-point lead on Republican Kirk McCaslin. The votes you see there, 8,064, 6,668 for McCaslin in the Mill Creek Township Supervisor race that we see right now. But as we go back to the top of the ticket, this is the big change. The big news coming just 7 minutes ago, Brenton Davis, the lead on Tyler Titus. So, as of now, the lead at 4,700, just a shade over 4,500 votes for Brenton Davis. And we can report that 146 out of the 149 precincts have been reported. This means that the data you see on your screen is pretty much going to be the data that we get tonight. Because like we told you at the beginning, and we told you rather just a few minutes ago, I'm going to go to a double box here. We told you a few minutes ago on this piece of paper that Doug Rogers so eloquently gave to me that there would only be 147 precincts that reported their data tonight. That was because 2 districts failed to give their information to the county in time. So here's the deal. The deal right now is that 1 district is still left to be counted tonight. 2 districts, along with 4,354 uncanvassed ballots, so just over 4,000 uncanvassed ballots, are still yet to be processed tomorrow. So there's around 40, I can't speculate on how many votes the 2 districts hold, but at least 4,500 votes still left to be counted tomorrow. I don't know how many are in the last district when it comes to this final vote tonight, but you look at the results and you look at the difference in the margin. If Brenton Davis is able to win even a sliver of the mail-in ballots that come in tomorrow, he is your new county executive. The lead for Davis right now, about 4,575. And with the number of votes that are being counted tomorrow, that's going to be right around the number of votes that Davis is ahead by right now. So at this juncture, unless I'm missing anything, really what we can expect at the greatest would be close to a dead heat. and again, I'm no political expert. I'm not trying to hypothesize things. But again, I'm just trying to explain where the numbers are at right now compared to where the numbers are coming tomorrow. So again, when you look at the numbers that are coming tomorrow, 4,350 uncanvassed mail-in ballots, and then 2 other districts, Erie's District 5 through District 8, that's going to be heavy for Tyler Titus, and Springfield Township, which is going to be heavy for Brenton Davis. So it's all a matter, really, at this point, of how many votes are left out there for Titus, because he's going to have to win virtually all of them if he wants to be county executive, based on the math that we see here. And again, as we make this full screen, I got to make sure that I don't. I got to make sure that I don't take control of the whatchamacallit, the results here, because Alex is about to take control back in our producer bay. Let me text Alex back here really quick. So again, you see the numbers here, and as we stand right now, a lead for Brenton Davis. We started the night with Tyler Titus at about a 7,000 vote lead, and I would say the voting has swung by about 11,000 votes to the Republican side. So there's the number right now. Based on the data that we have, Tyler Titus is going to have to win most to all of the remaining votes, which is not out of the question. Remember, if you're a voter for Tyler Titus and you're watching this right now, the race is not over. And the good news for Tyler Titus tonight is that the majority of the votes still outstanding are going to be, we think, for Tyler Titus. Remember, the mail-in ballots were running about 3-1 in favor of the Democrat. 15,000 of them were counted earlier today. 4,300 are still left to be counted. So if we do quick math here, let's just do some quick math on my calculator. In fact, let's do this. Let's pull up a calculator here on the computer, and you're going to do math with me. We're going to do some math here on the Erie News Now alert desk. Forewarning, I did not major in math, so please don't shoot me if I don't get this right. So Tyler Titus was averaging about a 3-to-1 ratio of mail-in ballots. So if we go by that math, let's say it continues tomorrow. 4,354 ballots that are canvassed. Tyler Titus wins 67% of those. Tyler Titus will pick up 2,900 votes. And then Brenton Davis, and I'm sorry, I'm having to do this again because I can't do math in my head. Brenton Davis would pick up about 1,436 votes based on that. And then the question is, how many votes are out there besides the mail-in ballots? So if you add that to the totals, that would give Davis roughly 34,100, and it would give Tyler Titus about 32,000. Hello.
Hi, I've been told to come talk to you. We're going to give you updates on where we were tonight.
Sweet, that sounds awesome. Give me 1 second. I'm going to see if there's anything on Facebook. I'll start with you, Kristen. Obviously, that gives you a chance to eat because I know you've been in Warren. We're going to have Isley Gooden and Kristen Allen on the alert desk here in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can give any sort of update here. Perfect. All right. So here's the plan. You see the numbers? I've told you the numbers long enough. Let's just hear from the guy who's covering Brenton Davis right now in Summit Township. That's Ethan Kibbe. He has an update as Davis now surges ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Ethan Kibbe here, Erie News Now. We're at the Davis campaign. Brenton Davis has just surged ahead in the polls. He is now up about 54 to 46%. Things looking very good for Davis right now. Not a guaranteed victory at this point, but seem to be trending in that direction. Let's watch.
Welcome back. Okay, folks.
folks, I have been given the all clear to take control of the new graphics for our updates. So here we go. This is what we're looking at right now. 11,300 votes in that last vote drop. That brought him to 54%, 32,000 total. Tyler Titus picks up just under 6,000 votes. So he has now 28,132. Remember, County Executive Kathy Dahlkemper won re-election 2 years ago with just over 30,000 votes. But Davis has surpassed that, and Davis now has the lead in the county executive race. The lead in the
most popular county executive of all time, right there.
Tightly, but not that much. Chris Campanelli's still about a 10,007. All right, that was a great Facebook Live by Ethan, except for the guy with the hoarse voice in the background. But we appreciate the Davis camp for tuning into us. I'm sure the Tyler Titus camp also tuning into our coverage as well. It's been a long night, folks, but a really exciting night as we continue along here. And it's been an exciting night, not just for me back here at the Alert Desk, but getting to watch everybody else and what they've been doing. I feel like I've been lazy sitting here. Kristen Allen's been driving around to Mill Creek. Isley Gooden, who's going to join me in a minute, was all the way to Warren. Kristen, you're dealing right now with the Mill Creek Township Supervisor race, and as I look at the updates here,
See new numbers coming in?
No, Doug's just updating it on.
Gotcha.
I think. Who knows? I could be wrong. All right, so Mill Creek Township Supervisor right now, Kim Clear with about a 10-point lead on Kirk McCaslin.
Yep.
Leads about 1,400 here. What have you seen as you've gone through this race so far? I mean, it's been pretty contested, you would think.
Yes, so far definitely. That's definitely safe to say. I've been all around Mill Creek today, starting off with Bell Valley polling place as I was there. I'm talking to folks, and one thing that stood out to me is they were talking about how great the turnout had been there at Bell Valley. So we know these races, they usually have lower turnouts historically, so that's something that stood out to me. Let's see, at Bell Valley, I think it's District 1 and 21 that they vote at, and one was telling me they had 31%.
Wow.
Yeah, which is up for them. But yeah, both of these candidates were remaining super optimistic. At the time I last checked in with them, I stopped at Kirk McCaslin's house earlier. He was watching the results come in on Erie News now, actually, while those results came in, the early ones.
Yeah.
He said that he knew he was coming into this as an underdog, which I thought was interesting. He said that he came down with COVID back in September, I believe.
Oh, wow.
So he said that going into it, he lost about a month of campaigning after all of that sick time, and just he said that he's really proud of the campaign he's run. You know, despite everything that's happened, he's still here. He's still keeping up. Now, Kim Clear is ahead right now, 10 points, just about. So she was at the Erie Brewing Company on Westlake Road. It was a very exciting race there, an exciting time as people were coming in and helping to hopefully celebrate as she wins, what she's hoping for, rather. She was telling me that this has been a very long campaign, that they've been working on this campaign for about 9 months, but she's super excited to see these results come in. And win or lose, they were both saying that they're super proud of the campaign they've ran so far.
You know, it's interesting that you talked about how long the campaign was. I think that was the case really for anyone, whether it was the county executive, for the Mill Creek Township Supervisor, even in Warren. You started seeing campaign ads, signs, boots on the ground really, really early, and that seemed to be the case for both these candidates as well.
Yes, for sure. They said that it's, you know, obviously they plan on running, I guess, ahead of time, a year or so before the actual election, but then to actually already have boots on the ground, going door to door, meeting people out in the community, this has been going on for 9-10 months at this point. So it's been a long road, and they're excited to see it end and see what comes out tonight.
As you look at these results right now, and you know, about, I'd say 75% of the precincts are reporting in that race, I mean, do you see it being called tonight, or is it too close in your mind from what you've seen?
From what I understand and what I've seen today, I believe it will be called tonight.
Okay.
I do believe that will come through. Now, of course, we never know.
No,
but
we don't.
From what I've seen so far today and at the polling places and such, I believe that it will be called tonight.
That's our Kristen Allen checking in. It's been a long night for you and everybody else, so get some rest, because we might have to come back tomorrow and get some of these
I know,
races.
right? You can see I've been running out around in the rain. My hair was curled if you watched us earlier, and now that's
so
not the case.
No, you're totally fine. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, look at me. My hair's half messed up. My suit, I don't even know if I've got half my suit on anymore. It's all good. Good stuff, Kristen.
Awesome.
Thanks again
Thanks,
for joining
Isaac.
us. Make sure you don't hit yourself with the mic on the way out, because I know that a couple people have done that. All right. I'm going to see if I can get some results in as Isley Gooden comes to the table here. Sorry, Alex, if you get mad at me. I don't think there's anything that I need to worry about, so I'm going to take it back. Yeah, so there you go. There's the race that Kristen's working on right now. Kim Clear versus Kirk McCaskill. You can see Kristen believing the race could be called tonight, 55% to 45% here. As we continue on here through our coverage, about a 1,400 vote lead for the Democrat in there, Kim Clear, who is looking to get one of the most coveted positions in Mill Creek Township, probably the most coveted position in Mill Creek Township as we move along here. So Kristen was in Mill Creek. We talked to Jamison, who was in Crawford County, but Isley Gooden had the toughest drive of the night. She had to go to Warren County with great reporting there, a lot of great Facebook Lives, and Isley, you know, when we were talking earlier to different people about turnout, voter turnout, it seemed low. And from what I saw from your Facebook Lives, that was the case in Warren County, too.
It definitely was. I talked to these Warren County commissioners there, and they were telling me that it was significantly low. It might be because of the inclement weather that they had there in Warren County tonight, as they had a couple flurries and snow, maybe. And also, these elections traditionally are a little bit lower than presidential and other voter turnouts there.
As we take a look at the Warren mayor race, that's a really big race in Warren County. David Wertman, the Republican, currently with the lead, 66% to 34%. Phil Gilbert, the Democrat, trailing behind. I know that you talked to a couple of elected officials in Warren.
I talked to both of the candidates tonight.
How are they feeling throughout this race?
So when I talked to them a couple hours ago, they were both confident, and they said either way it goes, they know this is an impactful election, and so they're honored to just be in the race. So that's pretty much, and even everyone I talked to, they were saying that they thought it would be close or at least neck to neck. So
I feel like every race we've talked about, it seems
that's
like
what they're saying. We don't know where people are going
down
right
to
now.
the wire. We didn't want a 4 or 5 day election like we had in 2020, but man, some of these races are shaping up to be very close. Were they also speaking at all about the campaign? I mean, I feel like we've talked about how every single campaign has been very long. Obviously, the mail-in ballots are a big part of that. Was this a campaign that they felt like they had to put more effort into than maybe they originally expected?
That's what I was hearing as well, that it felt like they had to put more work in. And even the officials running just the polling places were telling me it's different from with COVID and 2020. They have to make sure that things aren't getting not contaminated, but touched and different things like that. Make sure that the voting people trust where they're polling, where they're voting and everything. Make sure it's a trusted place, and make sure that they trust the candidates at well, and that it's a trusted process, basically, because of the different things that have been going on the last 2 years in politics. So
things in Erie seem to happen in Crawford and Warren County.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole regional thing, and awesome reporting tonight in Warren County. It was great to hear from you with your Facebook Lives. And glad you were able to make it back safely, because you get snow on Election Day.
Ooh, every time. I was scared driving through there, but I made it back, so that's all that matters. And even the people out there, I think that's why they didn't come out to vote.
Yeah.
We'll probably find out in the next coming days what happened.
How much snow is on the roads?
I'd say maybe like 1 inch. Not too much, but it's just late at night with the semis and all that.
And the first snowfall, too, whether you're here and you get a lot of snow or whether you're on the West Coast. Any snowfall the first time?
It's rough. You're not used to it. I'm used to like sunshine and everything.
Oh,
so
what I would do for that. What I would do for that, to be on a beach. Anyway, Isley, thanks again for joining us. Awesome stuff from Warren. And looking forward to more reporting as we move forward here, as Erie, Crawford, and Warren counties continue to be very, very, very close. Hello, Scott.
We're hearing from our Lisa Adams right now that it sounds like Tyler Titus will be out shortly to thank his workers and his people that have come together, because the lead is starting to grow further and further apart as numbers come in.
So does that mean...
expecting a Facebook Live from Lisa Adams with Tyler coming out. I don't know if they're calling it a concession.
Gotcha. Okay.
He is coming out to thank workers for their efforts,
and
their time,
All right.
We'll be expecting that shortly.
So here is what, in case you didn't hear it from our news director, Scott McDowell, here's what we're learning. We are learning that in a few moments, Tyler Titus is going to be coming out to thank his supporters for the work that they have done and thank his voters for coming out to vote with him. Now, I want to make one thing perfectly clear. This is not necessarily a concession speech. The race has not been called for county executive. You see the numbers on your screen. But again, the new news in the county executive race is that we are hearing that Tyler Titus will soon go out to speak to his supporters, and Lisa Adams will have a Facebook Live of that video. As soon as we hear when it's coming up, we will go out live to the Titus campaign headquarters, which is at Pier 6. So I will be sure to get that out for you. We'll be sure to get that out for you. I know we got people in the Titus camp that are watching us. We have people in the Brenton Davis camp that are watching us. We got just a ton of stuff going on here, and every single thing leading up to this election has been close. The results we expected to be close. Hold on one second, folks. Ethan Kibbe is now with Brenton Davis. He's addressing his supporters. Let's go live there.
Better pay, and they deserve an end to government waste. Lower taxes and better performance, which comes with keeping government working for the people, by the people, not the other way around. And if we have to wait one more day for that, then so be it. My campaign has been about those very issues. It was never about anything else. For now, let's raise a glass to all the wonderful volunteers who have worked so hard. I don't have a glass, but you can raise yours. Who have now once again have to be patient. Let's salute the veterans who had to put up with the nastiest of campaign smears ever put forward by someone who didn't serve. Let's thank the citizens who care enough about the country's future and the county's future to come out and vote. And allow me to salute all of you who came out here tonight. I'd like to send you home with one more certain answer. But at least I can send you home with this, my definite gratitude. We left absolutely nothing on the table, and we left nothing on the field. And now, thank you, and good night. Let's set
Okay, so Brenton Davis, you can see, just got off the podium, just spoke to his supporters, but he did not declare victory. Brenton Davis thanking his supporters, thanking the people who came out to vote for him, saying, listen, I appreciate what you've done to help me, and let's see what tomorrow brings. So, there is no victory speech from Brenton Davis. In essence, what this was a thank you, and let's wait and see for a potential final result. Again, the numbers are clear. Brenton Davis has the lead, but there is no final call that has been made yet. Also want to mention as well, as we wait for Tyler Titus to come out and speak, we're expecting him in a couple of minutes. The Erie County Sheriff's race is also not over. Brian Shank trailing 41% to 59%. Chris Campanelli with a commanding lead. Chris Campanelli has declared victory. Brian Shank, though, has not yet conceded, as he told John last when we went on the air with him. We're at Erie News now at 11 o'clock. So these two races in particular, still not called yet. 11:37 at night tonight. Will Tyler Titus issue a concession? We don't know. We know that he's going to be coming out, according to our Lisa Adams, to address and thank supporters, and we don't know anything beyond that. So as we just take a look at where things stand right now, what we know is that the lead for the two big races, Chris Campanelli leading in the sheriff's race by about 18 points, or rather 28 points, and the lead for the Erie County Executive, Brenton Davis, is 54% to 46%. Before we got to talk to Kristen and Isley, we were trying to do some mental math, some mental gymnastics, and we were trying to calculate what percentage of the 4,500 remaining mail-in ballots would go to each candidate based on what the math has been so far. We calculated that if Tyler Titus is winning those ballots 3-1, as he's been winning for the last couple of hours with mail-in ballots, he would win just roughly 2,900 ballots of the 4,500 that were left. Brenton Davis would take about 1,400. So if we put those numbers on pad and paper, Brenton Davis would come into tomorrow with about 33,000 900, about 34,000 total votes. Tyler Titus would come in with roughly 29, 30, 32, 31,000. So the difference would be about a 3,000 vote margin for Brenton Davis. So the question is, if you're Tyler Titus, knowing that there are still 3 districts left, 3 precincts left out there, 2 of which are going to sway heavy for Titus. The other one, which is Springfield Township, we expect to be heavy for Davis. Can you find enough votes in the mail-in ballots to make up this nearly 4,500 vote deficit that you currently have? We expect Titus to be able to close the gap. We don't know if he'll be able to catch Davis, but we do expect this gap to tighten, especially considering the fact that the majority of the precincts for day of balloting are over. But again, that's just a question. It's the math that you have to do. When you look at this board, are there enough votes out there that are going to be for Tyler Titus to make up a roughly 4,500 vote deficit that he currently has right now? And that is the question that everyone's going to be asking here in Erie as we move forward here and as we continue throughout the night. So as we continue to look here, I'm just going to go ahead and see how exactly things are going and make sure that we don't have any other chaotic stuff here as well. I've been told that I'm allowed to wrap whenever, but I would like to first see the Tyler Titus speech when that happens. I really want to. Hello, Alex. How are you? You want to come on for a minute?
Oh, geez, I can. Sure.
This is Alex Popacek. This is why the newsroom runs the way it does. This man is unbelievable. He is mega talented. He just produced all the shows. If you were watching 5, 5:30, 6, 7, 10, 11, it's his doing, and it's thanks to him that we continue to have this kind of success on the air. And he pushes all the buttons. He makes sure everyone's in the right place. Sometimes the buttons screw up on him, but that's, I guess, life. Man, what a night.
It has been a wild night.
What a night. Are you surprised that we don't know the results yet, or is this what you expect?
You know, had I not been following, you know, the 2020 elections and the primary, maybe I would have said no, but I'm not surprised, honestly. I'm not surprised that we don't know results right away. Yeah. We're still learning how to handle the no-excuse mail-in ballot, and I say that as a Pennsylvanian. And so in getting results, it's... shout out to the public servants, seriously, that work polls from, 6 a.m. until they close at 8, and even then you have to take everything to the county to get tabulated. There are so many moving parts when it comes to an election like this. The fact that we have any results the night of is amazing, and my hat's off to the folks in Erie County, Crawford County, and Warren County for doing all of that, and the folks at the state level. I'm not surprised, especially with how contested both of these candidates are. And I've said it before during elections, Erie County specifically is a very purple county.
Right.
It all comes down to who shows up to the polling place. So you have, very Republicans, very Democratic Democrats, and I don't want to call it an off year, but it's an off year. It's a municipal election. It's not a presidential election or the governorship or anything like that. So I think at the end of the day, it's not surprising that we don't know everything right now. But I will say I'm surprised that we know as much as we know right now.
Well, you think about this, just for the county executive race alone, the team at the Board of Elections has calculated 60,000 plus votes.
Oh, yeah.
In 3.5 hours. That is substantial. And again, remember, this is a Board of Elections that was concerned for poll staffing, for counting staffing, and things of that nature. And the job that they have done, impeccable. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, there's no question about that. You're a numbers guy. We've
Yeah.
done some numbers over
Oh,
the last
yeah.
year, reminiscing on some good times. When you look at the vote totals that's out there, hold on just a second. We'll get to that in a second.
Absolutely.
Tyler Titus is speaking on Facebook Live. Let's go ahead and go to him.
Point in time, it looked as if the race was still too close to call. However, the Board of Elections had told the Titus campaign that they were about to add in some new numbers, and those numbers really pushed Titus's opponent, Brenton Davis, over the top. A Democratic Party official still here telling me that it's just too much to overcome. They don't think there is any chance of the race going in Titus's favor. Now, with that said, the Titus campaign is expected to come back in here and say thanks to the supporters. And I have to say that this place still has a lot of people here, a lot of people with Titus shirts and sweatshirts on, hanging out at Pier 6, waiting to hear from the candidate. Some of these folks are other people who have worked for the campaign. Some of them are other winners tonight on the school board ballot or the city or county council races. But again, Titus's campaign officials are telling me he's still, the candidate is still planning to come back here and speak with his campaign workers and supporters. Not exactly sure what the campaign will say, but at this point in time, it looks as if it's gone in the direction of Brent Davis. So I'll be standing by here, and we'll let you know here as Titus comes in the room. If he does come back here, the candidate comes back here, we will be carrying what he has to say live. We'll see you on Facebook Live.
Okay. Well, major developments. A couple of things with that, Alex. You watched it with me. So here's what we know. Lisa just telling us that according to Tyler Titus's campaign team, they don't think the Democratic nominee can make up the votes. They don't think that's possible. However, Titus is expected to come out and speak. We don't know if it's going to be concession. We don't know what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. All we know right now is that his team doesn't seem very confident, and they don't know if he can make up the votes.
And that's a really interesting turn. Now we knew going in to tonight that the first batch of numbers we were getting at 8 o'clock was going to be the mail-in ballots that had
Yes.
more or less been like 4-1 Democrat to Republican. So we knew there was going to be a lead for almost every Democrat on the ticket in the contested races. So we knew that walking in, and what happened over the course of the night is you saw an equalization. And so for again, per Lisa's reporting, the Titus campaign to say we can't get beyond this. We can't overcome this. That's interesting. I mean, I think a lot of it came down to who was able to mobilize their base and who was able to get people to the polls. And I can rant all day long about municipal elections and turnout, but I think in this particular case, you didn't see the turnout that Tyler Titus needed in the city. Whereas I guess for Brenton Davis, he saw the turnout he was looking for, Yeah.
Yeah, in the rural areas and even the suburbs, I think came out and voted for Davis. Whether you saw the signs out there or whatnot, it seemed like ever since, from what my count is, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've had 6 batches of votes so far. From really the third batch on was when that election day voting really started to come in. Those results started to come in, and at that point, I mean, between the 4th batch of votes and the last batch of votes, Davis has accumulated over 20,000 votes, whereas in that span, Titus has accumulated 11,000. So there's where your difference is right now, and easy enough for Davis to be able to make up that deficit that he had of 7,000 votes at the beginning. So,
you also look logistically, right?
Sure.
You have your mail-in ballots, and that's what's at the county office first.
Right.
And then where are you getting those first results from? The people that are closest to the courthouse. So the further out you go, the longer it'll take to get from, I don't know, McCain or Edinburgh to get into the city to turn in the ballot. Now, I don't know the logistics of Erie County specifically. I know when I was a poll worker in Allegheny County down near Pittsburgh, they had kind of regionalized their collection sites. They had like 4 different sites, and so you just went to the nearest one. But I think in Erie, everybody was coming to the courthouse. So as you're getting this data processed, you're getting it progressively further and further, presumably. Again, we don't know for sure where these precincts are. I mean, we know where precincts are, but we don't know which we're reporting in what order.
Correct.
The goal at the end of the night is have all of the votes counted that you can, and that's what they're doing. And so at this point, looking at the results, you're seeing what they've counted so far. Is that, as Lisa's reporting, enough for one side to make up over the other? It's looking like it, but I mean, again, it's just been a fascinating process to watch over the course of the night, how the races have shaked out across the entire ballot.
So I was about to say, you're a numbers guy, and we've gone back historically in the last year, and you and I have done plenty of stories on numbers. So let's do some number crunching here. There are 4,354 uncanvassed mail-in ballots. Those are skewing 3-to-1 Titus. 146 of the 149 precincts have reported. I'm not a calculator. I don't know. I did some math in a computer calculator, but to me, it seems as if Titus would have to win nearly every single vote left out there. Is that right?
I mean, again, based off of the napkin math you're showing me here, I've been in the building for the last 12 hours, so truthfully, I would have needed to have written down every last bit.
Yeah.
But looking at the margin here, you've got roughly...
It's 4,500 votes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not likely that the campaign can overcome that. The only thing I could see here, and I don't know, I mean, I don't know what's been uncounted, but at this juncture, could you get it close enough to demand a recount and then have something like that? But at the end of the day, just looking at the raw numbers, it doesn't look like that's the case. But again, we're not the Erie County Board of Elections.
No.
We're Erie News Now. We're telling you what we know.
Yeah, and when you look at the, we gave you the numbers behind how much Titus was winning the mail-in ballots, 3-to-1.
Yeah.
He would probably need to win those at least 4-to-1, probably more. The two townships that were not canvassed and won't be canvassed until tomorrow morning are Erie District 5 through 8, which will be heavy Democratic, and Springfield Township, which will lean Republican. I mean, so if there's any solace in the Tyler Titus camp, it's that the majority of the votes left out there are going to be Democrat votes. It's just how much. And as we stand here right now, I want to ask you this too. When the first vote came in around 8 o'clock, and we knew that they were going to be the mail-in ballots, we knew that they were going to skew heavily Democratic. Jeff Bloodworth and I were sitting there, and the one thing he said to me was, it needs to be about 85 to 15 Titus for it to be a barn burner. And he came back with the results. It was 74-26. We saw the race with Chris Campanelli and Brian Shank, which has not been called except for Campanelli. And it was about 88 to 12. So was that kind of, when you saw the first results come in, did you get the feeling that Tyler Titus, while getting a majority of the votes, it wasn't what he had hoped to get?
I mean, that's more or less, if you know who requested and got their mail-in ballot, and you know what's to be expected, and you expect, okay, straight party line, every Democrat will vote Democrat, every Republican will vote Republican, you have a certain expectation walking in, and to not have those expectations met, I think that set the tone for the rest of the night, where you're not sure what to expect. I know personally, walking into work today, I wasn't sure what to expect
I don't think any of us
in either the sheriff's or the county exec's race. I mean, these are two completely open seats, two fairly well-known locally, or in both races. All of the candidates are fairly well-known within local political circles. So walking in, it's kind of a blank slate. You're not sure how this is going to go down. And I think in the case of the county executive, you needed that jump start to keep that going. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm not saying it's super likely either. So and a lot of it, like I said, comes down to who actually showed up. This is roughly off the top of my head, you have 250,000 people in Erie County, and to have what is that, like 60,000?
It'll be 65,000.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's abysmal of a turnout. So I mean, is it representative? That's an argument you can make.
Calculator, because I'm not good at quick math. 65,000 divided by, let's say, 250,000. That's 26%.
Yeah, I mean, and that's right in line with what you expect from a municipal election, which is, again, every time I'm handed a microphone about elections, this is one of the things I talk about. It's, you know, the best way to have your voice heard is to show up to the polling place. So if you're not happy with tonight's results on any ballot, well then, you know, did you show up to the poll? And I think in the Titus campaign, you're asking the question, how do you get people to the polls? Whereas in the Davis campaign, I don't know what they're saying, but they seemed at the end of the 11 o'clock news that we had here, we had Brenton Davis live with Ethan Kibbe, and he seemed reservedly excited, which is interesting. Over the course of the night, he went from, we're going to see how this pans out, to, I'm not going to say we're going to celebrate, but we may be celebrating here. And to see that tonal shift was really interesting across the night, too.
It goes to show that I don't think either candidate knew whether they were going to win or lose.
No.
Whereas in previous elections, not that there are ever landslides, but there's some confidence that you can see in the candidates. Not that the candidates didn't have confidence, but you really couldn't tell that they thought one way or another that they were going to win or lose. And I think that panned out tonight. I gotta let you go because you gotta be back in tomorrow morning. I keep forgetting. I'm also coming back in tomorrow, but I don't have to be in as early as you. So, get some sleep.
Man. I will.
This guy. I'll tell you what, man. I don't even know how the heck you do it. I don't know how you juggle all the hoops. I don't know how you stay awake, but you do, and it's wonderful. And
I appreciate that.
I can't appreciate you enough.
It's, you know, this. I was talking with Justin Gould from Jamestown.
Yeah.
Like 11:15, we were talking about hits and that kind of thing, and he said, "This is like our Super Bowl," and in a way, I mean, it is. When do you get another night where folks are as tuned in to local politics, as tuned into local matters as you do on election nights? And so, for me, you know, doing this twice a year, every year is, I mean, it's a lot of fun, honestly. It's crazy. We have so many live folks in the field and so many folks behind the scenes making things happening, from the photographers to our fearless assignment editor.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep. Absolutely. Oh. I agree. Hold on one second. I just got a notification. It looks like Tyler Titus is addressing supporters. Hold on a second. Sorry, Alex.
No.
You'll lose 10 minutes of sleep. Here we go.
Let's do it.
Is counted because every vote matters, and so we're not going to know until tomorrow. So we're going to go home tonight, and we're going to be grateful for all the work that we've put into this, and we're going to wake up tomorrow, and then we will be able to find out our final result. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
So Titus thanking supporters of the Titus campaign, still not conceding at this moment, but waiting to see that every vote is counted. Some analysis a little bit ago from the Democratic Party chair seemed to be that the margin of Brenton Davis's lead may be too much to overcome, but there's nothing official here tonight from the Titus campaign. Just a thank you, and a lot of really faithful supporters who stayed here until the candidate came back to make remarks. And so
reporting, but you get the gist of Tyler Titus. There is no concession tonight. It is not happening. Tyler Titus made it clear that he wants every vote counted. He does not want to end this tonight. He wants to go into tomorrow. And you know what? Again, we don't have any bias here, but if I'm Tyler Titus, I kind of agree with him. And I'm not, and again, we did the math. The chances that you make up these votes is not likely. But knowing that the majority of the votes out there are still yours, you have to play it out.
It's one of those things where this is election night. The polls closed, 4 hours ago? Yeah. Waiting an extra day to figure out your next steps, it makes sense. You don't have much to lose in that process by letting the process play out. We know from doing elections, it takes a few days to certify. You've got to go through. We know right now 2 precincts are just not getting counted. Right. 147 out of 149 have been reported in. They've got to double check. They've got to tabulate all of that thing. So there are a lot of options here for both sides. And so, I mean, if you're Dr. Titus, that makes sense as a play. You don't have anything to lose by saying we're not letting this be over yet. And so, I don't know. I mean, I think, and even with the hesitancy on, like I said, Brenton Davis's part, when he was talking with Ethan at the end of the 11, he's like, "Oh, I think we can sell it." It's very fresh. It's very, you saw Chris Campanelli's campaign come out and declare a victory, but you don't see, oh my goodness, why am I blanking on his name? Brian Shank conceding. So it's one of those things. This is all very fresh for everybody. So I think over the next day or so, we'll learn a lot more. We'll get more data. We'll know a lot more about what's if there were any issues anywhere or any kind of whatever. So I mean, if I'm any of these candidates, I'm not declaring anything tonight. But that's also the superstitious one in me type of thing.
What do you think is going to lead the show tomorrow?
Ooh, that is a good one. So if you have no idea who I am, my name's Alex Popacek. I'm the executive producer here at Erie News Now, and I produce the 5 and the 6 o'clock newscasts directly. I don't know. I really don't. If you ask me walking into today, I'd have no idea that we'd have the first winter weather advisory of the season. We'd have a horrific crash on Interstate 79 down by where it meets 422, and that in Erie family helped rescue people in that whole thing, and that the CDC would come out with the 5 to 11-year-olds Pfizer approval process. Like, that was fast. And all of this happened today. So when walking in that election's going to lead unless something seismic happened, tomorrow I have no idea. I mean, I think we might be looking at the rollout of these kids' vaccines, but you also might be looking at a very fresh campaign cycle and what's happening next. And I mean, I know one thing for sure, we'll be on top of it. I mean, from morning to night, we're going to be down at the Erie County Courthouse, we're going to be out in Warren, and we're going to be out in Crawford County, because these are the 2 billboard races, but there are so many races that have to be sorted through and so many decisions that have to be made. The county, I do not envy whoever becomes the next county executive, because they've got to decide what to do with the American Rescue Plan Act funding, the second half of that funding coming in, and so much so many economic issues coming out from emerging from a pandemic. It's I'm wearing a mask right now. There are a lot of things that need to happen, but the sun will rise tomorrow. I'm pretty sure on that one, and I don't know what'll lead the newscast. I think it'll be election related, but I'm not sure. Who knows? Tune in and find out.
I think we're going to have winners tomorrow. I said that on November 3rd of last year and then got burned, but I think I can say that with more confidence that we're going to know winners tomorrow. Get some sleep.
I will.
You're awesome, man.
Thank you.
It was good to talk to you. Thanks for taking a few minutes, and I'll see you back here later today. It's 12:02 in the morning.
Alrighty, I'll be back in 9:30, and I'll see you when you get here.
All right, man. Good to see you. Thanks.
Likewise.
Again. Let's take a look at the results. Not the results. The current. I can't say standings. I'm a sports guy by heart, so not current standings. They're current results, if you will, and they're not final yet in the county executive race. Let's go through them one more time, shall we? The county executive race stands at this. Currently, it is Brenton Davis with a 54 to 46% lead. Currently has 32,707 votes over Tyler Titus, 28,132 votes for the Democrat nominee. You look over at the Erie County Sheriff's race as we sit it right now. If I can go to it, maybe. Hold on just a second. There we are. Chris Campanelli, 59%. Brian Shank, 41%. It is 36,112 votes to 25,486. Big information in terms of that race. Earlier, our Kara Coleman reported that Chris Campanelli declared victory, but Brian Shank did not concede, so that race has not been called yet as of tonight. We go to other things in Erie County Council. We start with the Clerk of Records, Aubrey Haggerty Haynes, the Democrat, with about a 2,000 vote lead on Edward DiMatteo, the Republican. Then Erie County Council, the big races up there for the 4th District. Jim Winarski, the Democrat, very much ahead of Timothy Gus Mosky, a 38-point lead, most likely more than enough for Winarski to win that 4th District seat. In Erie County Council for the 6th District, Samuel Charles Bale at 66% to 34% for Lydia Lade, the Democrat, had the early lead, and then Charles Bale was able to make a run late and currently has about a 2,500 vote lead in that race as well. Let's go ahead and continue on and go to Erie County Council, if you will. Liz Allen, Chuck Nelson, Maurice Troop, and Jasmine Flores on their way to winning 4 seats in County Council. Greg Brown with some work to do if he wants to be able to unseat one of those 4 Democrats and move on and make a county council seat. Final race in Erie County that we were taking a look at tonight. Kristen Allen was on this today. Kim Clear, right now the Democrat, ahead of Kirk McCaskill, the Republican, 8,000 to just over 6,600 votes for Kim Clear. Kristen said that race could be called tonight. We've not heard anything as of yet, and most likely will not until later on today. So, again, right now that race currently in the lead by Kim Clear. So, as we continue on here, we'll give you the results. Also in Crawford County, there's one result that we want to show you as well, and that result is the Meadville City Mayor. Right now, it's the write-in candidate ahead of Jamie Kinder, 56% to 44%. The lead right there, 207 votes in Crawford County. In Warren County, one real big race to speak of. Our Isley Gooden was on that one. David Wortman, 66%. Phil Gilbert at 34. The 1,200 votes to 637. Wortman has nearly doubled his counterpart in terms of votes here on this Tuesday night turn to Wednesday morning. As we go back to the big race again, though. The big one right now tonight, Erie County Executive Brenton Davis on his way, presumably, to winning the Erie County Executive position. He'd be unseating the Democrat. Kathy Dahlkemper had the seat, of course, was not running for re-election, and so she will not be returning to the county executive seat, and it's, as of now, looking like a Republican could take control of that seat, although Tyler Titus making it clear he is not going to concede tonight. He will wait it out until tomorrow to make sure that the votes, all of them, are tallied. What a night tonight on Election Night 2021. I want to give a thanks to every single person who was on this election coverage in Erie, Crawford, and Warren County, and I have a cheat sheet to be able to help me out, so we'll start with this. Lisa Adams covering Tyler Titus, Ethan Kibbe, Brenton Davis tonight. Kristen Allen out in Mill Creek with the Mill Creek Township Supervisor race, and in Meadville, Jameson Hicksonbaugh covering the Meadville mayoral race. Isley Gooden was in Warren covering things at the Warren County Courthouse in the mayoral race in Warren County, whereas John Last and Kara Coleman were covering the Erie County Sheriff's race with Brian Shank and Chris Campanelli. Campanelli seemingly on his way to winning that one as well. At the polls tonight was a combination of Eva Mastromatteo and Elspeth Meisner, running around to different polling locations, whether that was Erie, Glen Township, things of that nature, Bell Valley Fire Department, giving an insight as to just how many people were turning out, how the voting was, and how the voting was being canvassed, and how many excited voters there were on this 2021 election day. All of our photographers as well, Mike Prince, Brian Schneiders, Kyle Myers, Larry Mancuso, Dave DeCola, for making sure all of the live shots across our shows and here on the air as well on Erie News Now Plus were also up to speed and up to date as we move across here and we move across through the evening. Also want to give a big thanks as well, without question, to our producer, Alex Popacek. Alex Popacek is an unbelievable producer, as is Bree Carl, who helped us well today. Without their support, my goodness, these shows would not run, this would not run, and again, our thanks to them as well. I cannot go without thanking my sports colleague, John Leidick, not only for taking me under his wing, but helping out today with editing, running around, making sure everything was in the right place, making sure that the video from Crawford and Warren counties was where it needed to be. It's a pleasure and an honor to work with John. It's awesome to get to be in his presence and working with him every single day. And I know, although I'm not working sports tonight, it's an awesome honor to get to work with him and have that chance to call him a partner in the work environment as well. And so thanks, John, for that. And I promise tomorrow, maybe, I'll be back with sports as we continue along through the high school and college playoffs. That is November. Big thanks to both Adam Snow and Scott McDowell. Scott, our news director, Adam Snow, our assistant news director. Adam running around. He had a pair of headphones in his ear and a phone basically taped to his chest, making sure that everything was okay, that everyone was doing well, field crews were good, gear were fine, and that everyone had charged batteries. And he was the aficionado extraordinaire, making sure that the newsroom was running efficiently on election night. And Scott McDowell, the news director, for his direction and leadership. My goodness, it's not easy to lead on a night like tonight when you have so many crews out and so many people that are, in essence, all on their own, but also working together for a greater good. And so without his leadership, it'd be very, very tough and treacherous to be able to make it through a night like tonight and a night like we'll have tomorrow as the results continue to come in. And from me here at the Alert Desk, thank you to all of you, for those who are watching, whether it's in Erie or Crawford or Warren counties or somewhere else that's not even related to this election zone, but just wanted a chance to see local elections behind the scenes and the importance that they bring to the area. Thank you, the viewer, for watching and making this an enjoyable experience for me and all of our guests as well. Big thank you to Joe Morris, Jeff Bloodworth, Paul Wagner, and Kathy Dahlkemper, the Erie County executive, who joined us as well. Brendan Scanlon, also want to thank him, our new Harrisburg reporter, for giving us an insight as to how life is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The great news for those of you who love politics, this doesn't end tonight. In fact, it starts today. On this Wednesday, November 3rd, 12:11 in the morning, we will continue to have coverage on these races as new results come in tomorrow. And as they come in, we'll bring them to you, and we'll make sure that you have all the up-to-date information. Before we let you go tonight, there is new data to give to you that we just got 2 minutes ago for the Erie County executive race. And we take a look. Not many votes coming in, but Brenton Davis has claimed a few more, as is Tyler Titus. Brenton Davis now at 32,707 as I grab my pen. Davis 32,707. His vote actually did not increase. Tyler Titus's, hold on just 1 second. This is actually not updated information. There we go. 32,786 votes for Brenton Davis. He picks up 79 in this new category. Tyler Titus, 28,253. He picks up 121 votes in this batch of votes that just came in from one of the districts in Erie County. And in the sheriff's race, you take a look, some more votes coming in as well. Chris Campanelli, 36,256 votes. He picks up, by my math, 144 votes. Brian Shank up to 25,545 votes. He picks up 61 votes in this small batch of reporting, what will be the last batch of reporting until we get through to tomorrow, which technically is today, because that's how long we've gone here on the Alert Desk. From everyone in Erie News Now and from our entire team, I'm Isaac Petcash saying so long for now, as we'll have more coverage, as Alex Pompacek mentioned, tomorrow on Erie News Now, starting with Erie News Now Sunrise in about 5 hours from now, culminating the Erie News Now at noon, and Erie News Now starting at 5, 5:30, 6 o'clock, 7, 10, and 11. I'm back with you on the Alert Desk tomorrow. We'll surely have more coverage. Hopefully we know winners by then. One way or another, it's going to be a fun night here at our station and across Erie, Crawford, and Warren counties. I'm Isaac Petcash saying so long from the Erie News Now Alert Desk. This has been our live streaming of Election Night 2021 here in Erie, Crawford, and Warren counties. We thank you for watching, and until tomorrow, we wish you a good night.